4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We hit 1,000 new YouTube subscribers, and that was the deal. Once it got done, we were going to destroy the Carson Wentz poster. All right, Guidos, Purple Drinkers, this is for you.
Yes!
You did.
Yes!
All right, now Perloff, here you go.
Carson is not crumbled.
Not going down.
Okay, ready? I'm going to go like Office Space and do it sort of with the other end of the bat.
Whoa, yeah. You just give it the rip?
Yeah, rip it. Maggie can't rip it.
I can't rip it.
All right, let's both of us try.
Okay, here, wait, you try.
This thing is tougher than the actual Carson Wentz.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the Maggie and Perloff show. Maggie is still on July 4th vacation somewhere in a lake in middle America. Heard from her today. It's raining there. She's complaining, but she's having a good time. Zach Gelb is sitting in for day 2. So, Zach, we're going to talk about Damian Lillard. I think he completely tanked the trade market and is actually hurting the Portland Trail Blazers. But we are 13 days away from the start of NFL training camp. Can you believe that? 13 days, dude. 13 days, the Jets and the Browns.
I love summer. I really do. But I'm already in this mode where let's just fast forward to week 1. And I want to get to week 1 of the NFL season.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. There's so many, it's partly because of us, the media, but there's so many storylines that we've been talking about. Now I want to see them play out. But 2 of the big ones are Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, who play in the Hall of Fame game, so they get to report early. And that's why they're starting in 13 days. And when I saw the report dates, I said to myself, wow, 2 top 5 quarterbacks reporting. Now, then I said to myself, wait, they can't both be top 5 quarterbacks because there are 5 other quarterbacks. So I started doing an exercise, Zach. How do you rank the AFC quarterbacks? To me, this is the hardest assignment in the entire NFL offseason because it is so loaded at that position that you could go 12 deep with Pro Bowl talent at quarterback. So I think what we need to do today, 13 days out from camp, is rank the AFC quarterbacks. You think we're up to the task?
I'm in. I'm all game. Here's one other thing I'll just say on a side to this. Yeah. The disparity from AFC to NFC. I know we're only doing the AFC, but if we were ranking all the quarterbacks in the NFL, in just the top 8, there's only one from the NFC, and that's your guy in Jalen Hurts. Everyone else is from the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, top 8, definitely. Unless you argue Dak Prescott, maybe.
He's not a top 8 quarterback in the NFL.
Not yet. Not yet. No, certainly not yet.
Probably will never be, if we're being honest.
That's a whole separate.
We'll need a lot of people to retire.
We're trying to focus on the AFC. Don't bring in the Dak Prescott topic because the AFC is hard enough. Here's how I want to do it, Zach. Okay, we'll go 1 for 1.
Okay.
We're going to go 1 for 1. I will give my number 1, then you give your 1, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm curious where we're going to start disagreeing.
The first 2 are really tough, let me tell you.
The 1 is easy. No, I think 2 we could disagree. All right, number one, Patrick Mahomes. Who's your number 1?
Patrick Mahomes.
Number 2 for me, it's Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Without hesitation. That's 1-2. That's the easiest thing ever. We had Burrow possibly infringing on Mahomes in that AFC Championship game. If they would have won, that would have been 4 straight.
Okay. Let's embrace debate at number 3. I know who you're going with. I know who everyone's going with. I'm doing a favor for my man, Mike Samter, Super Jets fan. I'm putting Aaron Rodgers as a number 3 quarterback in the AFC this upcoming year.
That will be the first disagreement. I have Josh Allen still in there at 3. Rodgers, we know, in the last 3 years, 2 of them were MVP seasons.
2 MVPs.
Last year, he did not play well. He has the thumb injury as an excuse. I've just seen Josh Allen in the last 3 years go to a level and transform that Buffalo Bills franchise, which for now, I'm a little bit more intimidated by Josh Allen than Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, I'm intimidated by Josh Allen too, but there's a couple numbers that stood out to me. 14 picks last year, 15 picks the year before. Aaron Rodgers, when he's on his game, he's not going to throw 15 picks in 3 years. And I'm factoring a little Tom Brady of the Bucs here.
That's fair.
And Aaron Rodgers, we've seen him with a chip on his shoulder. I think he could be elite here. He's got Garrett Wilson. He's got Nathaniel Hackett, his guy at OC. So I went a little against the grain, and I went 3 Rodgers.
And Rodgers isn't a statue. I understand that. But the mobility of Josh Allen as well is something why I also give him the edge in this day and age of football.
But here's the thing with Allen's mobility. He is flirting with an injury at some point.
He is.
Because he runs way too much for a star of his caliber. Okay.
But maybe then they go get some running backs actually in there to take some of the food off his plate.
They drafted a running back second round, and they don't hand it to him. So that's on the offensive coordinator. The other thing about Allen, I do think that he looked a little worse with Ken Dorsey at OC and not Brian Daboll, who's now the Giants head coach. I'm factoring that in. I'm factoring a lot in here. I think Rodgers might have a better year than Allen.
And one Stephon Diggs blow up from the Bills just going season right down the drain.
It's in my mind, too. Okay, my number 4 is Josh Allen. Who do you got?
My number 4 is Aaron Rodgers. How about
so
that?
We flip-flop. So you are not down on Rodgers by any means. Okay.
He's still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, not just the AFC, in the NFL.
Okay. Now we get really interesting. 5 is where the rubber hits the road, as they say. This was so hard for me. I have 5, 6, and 7 basically at a tie. But I'm going to go 5, Lamar Jackson.
I'm going 5, Trevor Lawrence, and the playoff success is the reason why. Herbert's been in the league longer. Lamar's been in the league longer. Trevor Lawrence, first real year in the NFL because that first year with Urban Meyer was very fugazi. He gets them to the second round of the playoffs and had an epic comeback against the Chargers. I'm putting Trevor Lawrence, who was supposed to be that next great quarterback, that generational player. I'm putting him at number 5.
An epic comeback against those mighty Chargers, who are such a playoff juggernaut. I mean, come on. The Chargers blew that game, but whatever. That's besides the point.
Did he not play well in the second half? He did.
He did, but I think Lamar is going to put up some numbers this year. Now, I don't think the Ravens are going to do anything in the postseason, but I think Lamar is going to just go to town this year.
I love Lamar. I just don't know what the approach is going to be because we kind of got into this a little bit yesterday. They keep on saying, we want to throw the ball more. We want to throw the ball more. We want to throw the ball more. Lamar Jackson is a better passer than what people give him credit for, but what makes him elite, what makes him that unanimous MVP is that threat of a run game. So the question to me is, how much are they going to go away from him actually running the football this year? And we'll see under Monken and company.
Okay. And also, it's partly up to Lamar. You can game plan all you want, but Lamar, is he going to keep his best weapon in the holster and not run? He's definitely going to run. No, it's not just the RPOs. If he's back there and he sees a seam, he's going to go, and it's incredibly effective.
But he's the guy that says he wants to throw for 6,000 yards this year.
I think it'll be a combo. The other thing, too, when you're playing, you can't really play man against Lamar because if you turn your back on the quarterback just once, then you're in trouble. So I don't think Lamar wants to give up on running because it also helps his passing game. You know, he's got Odell Beckham. You know, hopefully he's got Rashad Bateman healthy.
Mark Andrews, dominant.
Mark Andrews. So he's got a receiving core now. Nobody can say healthy in Baltimore lately. Sorry, so that's number 5. You got Trevor Lawrence. I like it. Number 6, for me, let me go first here.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, I'm going to go controversial again. I'm going Deshaun Watson.
Wow. Okay.
Because Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than everybody who you guys think I should put ahead of him.
Oh, I'm a fan of Deshaun Watson from a few years ago.
Right.
But after missing 2 years, I just wonder how much rust is there still to knock off. And also, him and Stefanski, that is a dangerous situation
What's wrong
this
with
year.
Stefanski?
It seemed like Stefanski's right on the hot seat, and once the Browns don't make the playoffs this year, the Browns will have a new coach next season.
That's very true. But I actually kind of like Browns have a great offensive line if they stay healthy.
Well, they have a talented team.
They have Amari Cooper. They obviously have a run game with
division.
Chubb. Brutal, yeah, but
and a brutal conference.
Same with all these players. We're talking about Lamar Jackson. We're talking. Well, Trevor Lawrence is the only one who doesn't have a
because
brutal
that division stinks.
Okay, so that is my number 6. Who do you got 6?
So I agree with you that 5, 6, 7. Even though we're going to obviously disagree on the names, they're pretty much splitting hairs. I'm going to go with Herbert, and the reason why I did not go Lamar here is just because the last 2 years Lamar has been hurt. So I put Herbert in at number 6.
Okay, Herbert is my number 7, and obviously he could move up. But I saw a stat that really kind of bothered me about Herbert. He was 27th in the league at 6.8 yards per attempt last year. His numbers went down last year. Part of it is his wide receiving core is getting older and slower. Now, they drafted a rookie. They drafted the kid Quentin Johnson, who's awesome. But I just don't like everything around him. And it's not even Herbert's fault. I don't love the coaching. I don't love the Chargers' ability to stay healthy. I'm a little worried that the Chargers might not be headed in the right direction.
A lot of people say this is a hot take when I say it.
Yeah.
We all agree on Brandon Staley that guy just loves playing with fire and consistently keeps on putting his hand on the stove even after he gets burned over and over and over again. Kellen Moore to me is a little bit overrated.
Yeah,
this guy was supposed to be a head coach years ago. Yeah. You have all these pieces in Dallas. The last 2 years, the offense failed him in a big spot, and now he gets gifted all these weapons with the Chargers. The reason why the Chargers will have success this year, which will be get to the playoffs and maybe win a playoff game, it has nothing to do with Brandon Staley. It has nothing to do with Kellen Moore. It's because of the quarterback and the weapons around him.
Yeah, but it's going to be a hard assignment to get to the AFC playoffs. Who do you got at 7?
7, I go Lamar.
Okay,
unanimous
7 Lamar.
MVP. I'm a big Lamar fan. I think it's ridiculous that people go Lamar can't win a Super Bowl just because he has not done it yet. Winning a Super Bowl does not happen overnight. We've seen a lot of players go years and years and years without winning a Super Bowl and then finally get one. But Lamar is one of the more lethal players in the league. The only concern I have is the lack of health the last 2 years.
Okay. 8 for me is Trevor Lawrence, we've already talked about. Let's take a break. You give me your 8, then let's take a break because the 9-10 for me is the most interesting debate of this whole thing.
My 8th person is Russell Wilson. And the reason why I go with Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson, I think Pete Carroll was clearly on to something. But now getting Sean Payton back is going to be really, really big for him. I don't think Russ was as bad as the way that he played last year. He may never be great again, but I do think he could still be a very good quarterback in this league. Yeah. And if he can't find a way to get it done individually, team success is a totally different thing, but individually, if that offense isn't drastically improved from where they were last year, I would be surprised. And I've been critical of Denver, and I don't think Denver's making the playoffs this year.
I saw a metric that the Broncos led the league in dropping catchable balls last year. There was when Tim Patrick got hurt and Garrett Bowles got hurt early or before the season, it was all over. And the coach wasn't good. I think Russell played much better than anybody realized.
My biggest concern on Russ, though, is last year it was so ugly. And then at the end of the year, the players spoke in support of Russ, and they tried to put lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, but look at his stats at the end of the year. They were legit. He had 3 games
when they made the coaching
100.
change.
Yeah, I mean, also, too, the receivers started to come to planet Earth. I mean, that team stunk around him.
I just wonder how long into the season is it going to take for him to smooth over some of those fractured relationships that did happen last year.
Get out of here.
It's just it's a thought.
What are the fractured relationships? Who are the players? What are you talking about?
He was clown last year.
Well, I'm just
saying. You had players, wide receivers, showing him up on a football field.
Those wide receivers are garbage. Which wide receivers?
KJ Hamler last year?
He's garbage. Total garbage. The only player that he could, Russ dropped back. He's like, if I'm not throwing to Cortland Sutton, play dead. Judy does not show up consistently at all.
Judy's
KJ
overrated.
Hamler, and basically he loved that young tight end Dulcich. He had a big problem with nobody to throw to because nobody could catch the ball. They led the league in drops.
I just wonder if he has the respect of the locker room. When you're alienating yourself and you thought you were a coach last year, that's a legitimate concern because you didn't carry your own weight last year.
If you don't get the respect of a player who's in his 3rd year, who's never won a single thing in the NFL, who cares? There's nobody. I know
it's
that
a
Broncos,
young man's league, my friend. It's a young man's league.
I know that Broncos team well. Trust me, Russ came to a team of losers. There's just no way. I mean, technically, they were losing players.
Yeah.
There was nobody there who he needed to earn the respect of.
Well, Russ played like a loser last year.
I mean,
I've never seen more people flip as quickly as they did on Russell Wilson than last year. And what I think is extremely damaging here, his old players, the guys that won with him in Seattle, they trashed him. And they not only danced on his grave, they did the Macarena, they did the worm, they did everything on the grave of Russell Wilson last year. And that goes back to my point. If that's where the relationships got in that locker room in Seattle, where are they at right now in Denver with guys that have no relationships with him?
First of all, I mean, Richard Sherman, the same guy who shreds Thursday Night Football any chance he gets.
Yeah, and then he takes the paycheck.
I mean, come on. He says so many different things. They've hated Russ since they were winning Super Bowls together. And they won Super Bowls, and they won 1 million games together.
They won 1.
Yeah, I know, but they were really good. They were a really good team for a long time. It's not people act like Russell never won anything in the NFL. And I know Tyler Lockett came out and said something, but again, who's Tyler Lockett? Tyler Lockett's a very good wide receiver in the NFL. Yeah, but who is he without Russ?
He is playing right now, Russell Wilson, for the rest of his career to save his Hall of Fame legacy.
No.
That is at risk.
He's in the Hall of Fame. He's not at risk.
If he goes and plays the next 3 years like he did last year, I'm not sure that he definitely gets
He's not going to play like that last year.
Oh, we don't know. We got to see it.
Do you know
Doesn't
how
have
many
Pete Carroll holding his hand anymore?
Do you know how many games they lost to the IR last year in Denver? Do you realize how deep into their depth chart they were last year? They were.
You know what's funny about this?
Everybody was out on the entire both sides of the football, gone.
You know what's funny about this?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You haven't said the name Russell Wilson yet on your list, right?
No, that is funny.
And he's on my list already, and here you are defending him, telling me how much I'm an idiot.
Well, that's because you don't have Deshaun Watson yet.
He's coming.
Well, Russ is coming for me, too. We're going to take a break on this list. You can weigh in. Give us a call, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
We both did that. We both did not name players, and we're defending them, and we're going after each other.
Yeah. I had a feeling, though. I thought the debate was going to be Russ versus another quarterback. We're going to get into that next and a whole lot more. Zach Gelb sitting in for Maggie here on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie is off. Zach Gelb is sitting in. We're doing an interesting exercise ranking the AFC quarterbacks. We got through 8. Before we go on 9 through 16, I have a trivia question for you, Zach Gelb.
Uh-oh.
This isn't really trivia, but this was part of my research in ranking the AFC quarterbacks. There were 7 quarterbacks who had a passer rating of above 100 last year. Now, the amazing thing is we've both done the top 8 quarterbacks in the AFC, and only 2 of the quarterbacks we mentioned are part of that group of quarterbacks who have 100 passer rating or higher.
So only 2 so far.
2 so far, which is amazing to me. So Mahomes is in that list, and Joe Burrow is in that list. There are 5 other quarterbacks with 100 rating. Can you guess who? And you will never guess.
Are they all AFC quarterbacks?
Most of them are not.
Okay. Kirk Cousins.
Nope.
Tua Tagovailoa.
That is one who's coming up soon on my list, as I'm sure he is yours.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Tua Tagovailoa had the second highest rating in the NFL at 105.
Jared Goff.
Goff, nope. He was in the 90s.
Whew. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is, hold on a second. Hold, please. No, I do not believe he was over 100.
Okay, so I have 1 so far, and most of them are NFC quarterbacks here. All righty. Let me see. And they're going to be obscure NFC quarterbacks, too.
Well, you should think about one team where it's very easy to play quarterback.
Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy led the league in quarterback rating, only played 9 games, 107.3. Geno Smith, number 5, over 100.
So there's 3 right there.
Okay, and then same team as Brock Purdy, just to give you, that's a ridiculous one.
Same team as Brock Purdy?
Last year he was on the same team as Brock Purdy.
Jimmy Garoppolo?
Garoppolo had a 103 rating last year, barely. Oh, I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts was over 100. I apologize, I missed him.
So give me the others that were on there.
There's only one more, and I'm very disappointed in you, Zach.
Wait, one more?
There's one more.
And you're very disappointed
I'm disappointed in you for not knowing.
And it was not in either of our top 8s right now.
It's not in either of our top 8s, although...
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here. And this guy got hurt, and the team just bleeped the bed. What about Ryan Tannehill?
No, Tannehill's close, 94.6. This guy, I'm disappointed.
AFC or NFC?
AFC, and I'm disappointed in specifically you,
Oh,
Zach.
Mac Jones?
Right team, wrong quarterback.
Oh, Bailey's, he played 2 games.
Bailey Zappi played 4 games at 100 rating, which qualified for whatever reason on this ESPN.com list. So, Zach, if
You're
you don't
right,
know,
I would have never got most of those just because you had Purdy and Jimmy G.
Yeah.
And then you had Bailey Zappi, happy for Zappi with the Zappi fever.
So if you don't know, Zach Gelb is a lifelong Patriots fan. So I thought, Zappi, you know what? If Zappi was starting over Mac Jones, I might do my AFC rankings differently because I love me some Bailey Zappi. Do you know my theory, by the way, that Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi secretly switch their helmets mid-game so the other team doesn't know who's really playing quarterback? Because in a helmet, they look exactly the same. Okay, let's pick up our list. Here's how I ranked my AFC quarterback so far. I had Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, Rodgers 3, Josh Allen 4, Lamar Jackson 5, Deshaun 6, Justin Herbert 7, and Trevor Lawrence 8. Zach, how did you go?
My 8 so far, Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, Allen 3, Aaron Rodgers 4, T-Law, as the kids call him, Trevor Lawrence in at 5, Justin Herbert 6, Lamar Jackson 7, and Russell Wilson in at number 8, Mr. Unlimited.
So we had a big debate about Russell Wilson and whether he lost the locker room. To me, the Broncos locker room is worthless anyway before he got there. I did not like the culture there when he came. I didn't like it last year, but they're bringing in Sean Payton, so I like you having him 8. I have him 9. Who do you have number 9?
9 would be Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson played like a top 5 quarterback and then didn't want to be in Houston anymore. And then we all know the disgusting things that happened off the field. And he basically hasn't played in the last 2 years. The guy still has potential to be a dominant, explosive quarterback in the NFL, but I just got to see it again because he hasn't played consistently in a long time.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Deshaun Watson. There's great reports out of Cleveland. I think he's a very talented quarterback. I think he has major problems off the field. I don't know where he is with all that, if he's ever really going to overcome that in the public eye, but I know he can play quarterback.
Well, he plays well. So, I hate to say it, it's just the reality of this. We soon forget a lot of things that happen off the field. If you go win, you get rewarded and you get beloved in the league. Here's the thing with Watson, though. When I look at the situation that he's currently in Cleveland, which happens to be a good situation when you look at talent, any of these reports that you hear now, I just kind of roll my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I have covered training camps. I have covered OTAs.
I know what you mean.
I have covered mandatory mini camps. If you're actually one of these people, one of these reporters that are sitting there with your pen and your paper and you're jotting down what a guy does in practice, monotonous, get a life. I know it's your job, but get a life.
Oh, my favorite thing is training camp stats.
Oh, I hate them. Hate them.
Nick Foles was 7 for 9 in his first session today.
There's always some scrub that plays great that never makes the roster.
But I think people don't realize when you actually sit and you look at the Browns roster, it's like, whoa, running back Nick Chubb, arguably the most talented running back in the league. Then he's got to throw in Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, they just traded for, Donovan Peoples-Jones, the Peoples-Jones. And then David Njoku really came on in the second half of last year. And look at their line. Jedrick Wills, first-round pick. Joel Bitonio, Pro Bowler, All-Pro. Wyatt Teller, All-Pro. Jack Conklin, former All-Pro. So, I mean, there's names here. And Myles Garrett on defense. So I think Watson's at a good place. And you said Kevin Stefanski.
And the line's phenomenal.
What line?
The Browns' offensive line.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that was the O-line I was reading.
Oh,
yeah. So, and also Stefanski did have a good year with Mayfield. So he could do that sort of Gary Kubiak roll right, ball fake kind of thing. I think they could be really good. Unfortunately, their division is crazy. But that brings me to my number 10. And I'm very curious I think this could be your 10 too. Tua Tagovailoa. And I might even have him higher if you could guarantee me any form of safety. But that offense is so talented, and he's the right quarterback to play point guard. I have him at number 10 in the AFC on my list.
He's my 10th quarterback as well, just because of the upside if he does stay healthy. And you look at the two weapons that he has throwing the football to in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The health is a concern. And I've said this before, and I don't know if I'm ready to go there yet, but I've been seriously contemplating picking the Miami Dolphins to win that division because everyone, when they talk about the Dolphins, they say, oh, Tua can't get through a season healthy. There's always one storyline each and every year that everyone thinks is going to happen in the NFL, and it goes the other way. I know this is bizarre because it's a head injury and the seriousness of it, and he could get a concussion so easily, right, playing football, and he has, unfortunately. Yeah. I kind of have a feeling that Tua's going to get through this season healthy.
Ooh, I hope so. I really hope so because I love watching him play. Huge fan.
Remember we talked about him in college?
And by the way, it's not just his head injuries, too. I mean, he's had severe lower body injuries.
At Bama, the ankle?
Yeah, and then he had the tightrope on the ankle at Bama as well. I think that was his ankle. Yep. He's gone through a lot. So at that weight, I guess he's put on weight. I've seen pictures of him. He looks, thick, much thicker than he ever has. So excited about that. Okay, let's bust through the rest of this. Number 11, Kenny Pickett.
The quarterbacks that no one really cares about.
No, I totally disagree.
Well, besides you love bizarre quarterbacks.
This isn't bizarre. The AFC is loaded with Pro Bowls.
You're right.
Number 11 is Kenny Pickett. And I have to tell you right now.
I like Pickett.
He could be higher on this list. Like, this might be a year two sort of coming outing party for coming out. I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore. What do you call it when the guy? Oh, breakout for Kenny Pickett.
Does a coming out party?
Does a second-year player break out? Not really. But Kenny Pickett's going to be really good. And there is a lot of talent in Pittsburgh. It's just the AFC North. I mean, look who he's thrown to. Deontay Johnson can get open, can't always catch the ball. George Pickens kind of looks like a star.
They got have a radio Robinson. Host, though, in Pittsburgh, Colin Dunlap. Sorry, I was confusing him with the football player, who said Deontay Johnson and Pickens are going to have a blow-up inevitably at some point this year over targets.
Oh, I have to tell you right now, Deontay Johnson, first of all, I think his role in killing Big Ben's final 3 years was unbelievable. I don't know if you remember, there was a Ravens game where I bet on the Steelers, and Ben threw a 40-yard perfect pass. Deontay Johnson hit him in the hands and the numbers, and he still dropped it. And they got Freiermuth, and they're saying Muth, not booing. So everybody likes the Steelers. Mm-hmm. Steelers don't even need talent. They're going to go above 500 because it's Mike Tomlin. Kenny Pickett, I feel like you've always been a Kenny Pickett fan at Pitt. I don't know why I'm saying this, but
I like Kenny Pickett. I wouldn't say I'm a super fan, but I do think he's better than what people give him credit for, which is ironic because he is not that high up on my list.
Oh, okay. So who do you got at 11?
I have Jimmy Garoppolo. I do not like Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jimmy Garoppolo wins games. I'm not a fan of Jimmy Garoppolo, but he does win games.
When he's on the field. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We were looking at last year's passer rating, over 100 passer rating. I mean, he's got Devontae Adams. If he's on the field, just throw it up in the air.
And hopefully Josh Jacobs, too.
Yeah, so he's got talent. Again, I think you're going 12 deep with Pro Bowl potential players. Okay, so my number 12 is Jimmy G. Who do you got at 12?
Mine is Ryan Tannehill.
Yep.
I don't believe in Tannehill, but he is a solid quarterback. He's an above-average quarterback as long as he can stay healthy.
Well, I mean, the Titans win that division if he's healthy last year.
Oh, yeah, they were 7-3 and then didn't win another game.
And the other thing, too, is if you add DeAndre Hopkins to that team next year, and then you still have one more, if you could squeeze one more productive year out of Derrick Henry, I think the Titans have a great chance to challenge the Jags because of their style of play. They're just slow it down. Tannehill, don't make mistakes. You add Hopkins, they have enough to at least be interesting. Everyone's saying it's the Jags. No one's taking the Titans seriously.
The Jaguars should win that division.
But if Tannehill is healthy and they added Hopkins, at least that's a challenge right there. So I have Tannehill 13. Who do you have?
So my 13th quarterback is Mac Jones.
Oh, you have Mac Jones ahead of Kenny Pickett. Oh,
yep.
Explain.
It's splitting hairs because Mac Jones played in the league a little bit longer than Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
I both think they're quarterbacks that their ceiling is good, probably not great for both of these guys. And Mac Jones made the playoffs once. Kenny Pickett only has been in the league for 1 year, so you're splitting hairs here. So it's a very low bar to kind of clear these guys at this point.
I got 14 Mac Jones, although I'm a big Bailey Zappi guy. Who do you got 14?
14 Kenny Pickett.
Wow. Man, I will remind you of that if he blows up this year.
You just said I'm a Kenny Pickett fan. This is not being disrespectful. The AFC quarterbacks are loaded.
Well, you went to Temple, and I feel like Temple and Pittsburgh.
They did recruit him.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett originally committed to Temple.
South Jersey. That's what I thought you were connected
before going to Pitt.
Yeah, and also he's a great dude. Okay, 15.
Small hands, though.
15 and 16, I know we both have two rookies left. 15 for me is Anthony Richardson. I'll tell you right now, if it's Sunday afternoon in the fall and I have Sunday Ticket on YouTube in front of me.
Which you will.
I am watching Colts games first because I cannot wait to see Anthony Richardson play. I hope he throws 5 passes a game, as his coach said might happen, and just runs all over the competition. He is set up for one of those big rushing years as a rookie. I've never seen a guy that size run that fast at quarterback in my life. I'm talking about the combine, of course. I'm so high on Anthony Richardson, at least in the fun sense.
15, I'm going C.J. Stroud over Richardson. Here's why. You look at C.J. Stroud, he may not have a higher, I hate the word higher ceiling, I'm going to use it here. He may not have a higher ceiling than Anthony Richardson, but I know that C.J. Stroud is pro ready and is just going to be good. I don't know how good, how great he could be. And the weapons are concerned because he had weapons out the wazoo when he was playing quarterback at Ohio State. What impressed me a lot was C.J. Stroud at the Heisman. He said he hoped to put his mobility on display, and he hopes to do that really soon. And then he did that in that semifinal game up against Georgia, where he played his best game probably in college. My problem is, why did it take that long?
Yeah, I don't know.
And there was a lot of times last year I was watching C.J. Stroud where I was like, I feel like there's something untapped there with him. Yeah. Eventually did a show, and he ended up being the second overall pick in the draft, but I put C.J. Stroud in 15.
So inaccurate against Michigan, especially in the second half. I mean, that Ohio State offense, you need to be pinpoint accurate. Listen, he went number 2 in the draft, but there's no way you could tell me he was as good at Ohio State as Justin Fields was. And he wasn't even anywhere near what Dwayne Haskins was.
Dwayne Haskins had a great year.
I mean, he was incredible in that year. So, I'm holding that against C.J. Stroud. The other thing is he's going from Egba and Marvin Harrison, who's just the craziest wide receiver duo.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
But he didn't play last year. But then Emeka Egba.
Oh, yeah. True.
Was incredible.
Yeah, he was.
And Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the number 2 pick in next year's draft. He's just unbelievable.
For a second, I thought you just botched the pronunciation of Jackson Smith and Jigba, but then I know what you're talking about.
I don't think JSN played really much at all.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. So he's running to this year. I love this. The Texans depth chart's my favorite thing. Nico Collins, wide receiver 1. Robert Woods, who has never really gotten healthy since he went under surgery. And number 3 is Mechie the third, rather, coming back off a ACL and also leukemia. Was it leukemia? So we haven't seen anything on him. They drafted Tank Dell, who I like out of Houston, but this is the thinnest talent pool around them, which, of course, we talked about this draft night. We did a draft show together. It was a lot of fun in Kansas City. Houston's trading away next year's first-round pick with this roster. I mean, they are not set up for success. C.J. Stroud might be fine, but there's nobody around him.
I'd like the move for both sides, and I know that's not great for radio because you're usually supposed to take one side over the other. But the Texans, right, they've been, quote-unquote, building for so many years. I do like that they got their quarterback and they got a guy on defense, Will Anderson Jr., who some people thought was the best player in the draft. but I felt like they could have traded away the Browns' first-round pick and not their own first-round pick
big time,
to get that deal done to go to 3. And that pick could be used to potentially replace Kyler Murray if you do have, let's say, Arizona just on their own be bad or the Texans be bad. You get the number 1 pick and maybe the number 2 pick, and you could find a way, if you're the Cardinals, get rid of Murray, send him somewhere, and you get Caleb Williams and then Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's what I just said. Marvin Harrison's the number 2 pick, and Caleb Williams obviously number 1. Yeah, no, not to no-duh you, but I feel exactly the same way. Arizona, there's just no way with Kyler Murray not being 100% healthy that they're going to be
a regime that has no attachment to him now. And Austin Ferd and then Jonathan Gannon, who, if you want to talk about the creep meter right now, there's no coach right now in the NFL that creeps me out more than Jonathan Gannon, because you're right. Do the sound effects again.
Pew, 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 pew. Yeah.
That's what happened when he met one of the wide receivers on the team. And then in the draft, when Austin Ford is working his magic, negotiating with Nick Cassari, I don't know if you saw this video inside the war room.
Yeah.
But he just sits there at the end as if he was the kid sitting in the backseat of a car seeing his father drive for the first time. He was like, wow, that was really awesome. That guy just does not seem ready to be an NFL head coach.
They got the wrong coordinator out of Philly. Shane Steichen's going to be great in Indy.
He bought like a $10 million home, though.
I know. Gannon.
I'd be Jonathan Gannon. I'm okay with that.
Did you see the second half of the Super Bowl?
I don't care. I got paid. That's all I care about.
Okay. Give us a call, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Yes,
your 16th was Stroud, and mine's Richardson. Just
sorry. Yeah, flip-flop. All right. Pat Boyle is in. Tell us. I'm going to read my top 5. Zach will read his top 5. These are AFC quarterbacks. Which is a stronger list? I go 1, Mahomes, 2, Burrow, 3, Aaron Rodgers, 4, Josh Allen, 5, Lamar Jackson.
My 5, Mahomes, number 1, Burrow, 2, Josh Allen, 3, Aaron Rodgers, 4, and then Trevor Lawrence in at 5.
Instead of Lamar Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
I like Gelb's list better.
You know, is it the Lamar T-Law?
It's not only that. I think Trevor Lawrence had a fantastic year last year. They've bolstered his weapons. I think now he's, year 4? Or is this year 3?
This will be year 3.
This will be year 3. I mean, that whole first year with Urban Meyer felt like 2 years.
Yeah, when he was
that it probably put on him. He was fantastic last year. First year with a real head coach. I think he's due for a big step up, and I think he's probably going to be an MVP candidate. So I like that over Lamar Jackson. Even though I love Lamar, former MVP, I still don't think he has enough weapons around him to the point where they say they want to throw the ball a ton and want to throw the ball all over the place. I don't think they're good enough to be able to do that. So I think Trevor Lawrence has a better year than Lamar Jackson. And then as much as I think the Jets and Aaron Rodgers are going to have a great year, I do think Josh Allen's still a better quarterback than him.
By the way, this is a really bold strategy. He's right in everything he just said and saying my list is better than yours.
Yeah.
But if I'm in Pat Boyle's shoes and this is the bold strategy kind of move, I'd be sucking up to you. This is your show. I'm just a villain.
By the way,
I would say Perloff's right. Sure. Yeah, whatever. If I
was about to say to you, Pat, who asked you anyway?
Well, look, I mean, I kiss some ass, but I can't.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I was going against the grain. I understand. No, I totally understand what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
And I think Maggie's actually with you. She's on the Trevor Lawrence bandwagon. I am too. Calvin Ridley's going to be awesome. But I mean, it's not like I put, Nick Foles at number 5. I put Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert and Deshaun Watson.
I don't think the lists are. Look, I'll pucker up when I need to, Perloff. I don't think the lists are that far off. I think you got a good list. I just think if you're asking which is the stronger, I would put Zach's a notch above.
And then you're like, I love Lamar Jackson. I just don't think he's a top 5 quarterback in the AFC. So do you really love him?
Yes. The field's loaded, though.
We're in the golden age right now for AFC quarterbacks. So, when we look 10 years from now, we'll be like, wow, remember when we had all these quarterbacks in one conference going for one conference championship? I don't think it's going to get better than this. So there is, you got to leave somebody out.
Pat, who's your NFL team? Your teams are so confusing.
I'll tell you whose team he is.
Well, I know. Wait, he's a Cubs fan?
Yes,
right?
Correct.
Notre Dame.
Correct.
You will never get the NFL team.
I'm local for basketball and
Cleveland
hockey,
Browns,
Knicks and Islanders.
So I put Deshaun.
Well, I was a Browns fan.
Oh, you're off the Browns.
You're off?
I'm an NFL fan, free agent.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
You're wearing Cleveland Browns orange right now.
Yeah. Well, it could also be Knicks orange.
Oh, well,
or just an orange polo that I thought looked good in the summer.
So you're a free agent when it comes to having an NFL team?
Yeah. Working locally here in New York, I have to follow the Jets and Giants every move they make and watching their games, at the expense of some red zone, especially when they're both playing in the 1 o'clock window. But
you should be a Jaguars fan.
Yeah.
How about the Seahawks? I feel like they're a nice little story. I mean, yeah. The Jaguars are going to win that easy division and then get thumped in the AFC
well, why
playoffs.
don't you do this?
I was a Browns fan only for Brady Quinn, so like my fandom kind of teetered off.
Things no one has ever said.
And then look, I'm not a virtue signaler, but when they signed Deshaun Watson, I was like, all right, that's the end for me. That's the last straw.
I know you don't like this team, but why don't you kiss Perloff's bony ass and just end up rooting for the Eagles this
No,
year?
I can't do that.
You could do a good Eagles chant, right?
There is a certain. Now I'm on a show. I'm about to trash him. I'm on the Trasher City. There is a certain level of
Stop. That's
trash
ridiculous.
that I can't
Great
get
people
behind
and great
Philadelphia
cheesesteaks.
sports fans.
Oh, shut up.
Okay, wait.
That's all you have to show for yourselves is cheesesteaks?
By the way, let's talk about this Notre Dame
City you
quarterback
probably
thing.
love.
Cheesesteaks are awesome. First of all, I somehow
love
lost the
cheesesteaks.
bet. I got a
talk
call.
yourself
I
into
got an
doing
emergency
4
call from
cheesesteaks in
Maggie
30.
last night. She's like, "You're going to eat 4 cheesesteaks in 30 minutes?" I'm like, "We're still workshopping
I
that."
can find just as good of a cheesesteak in Central Jersey,
No,
which
you
does
can't.
exist, or here in the city.
Zach went to college in Philadelphia. He knows this.
And I'm a
been to-
large
I've had
man. I got
Geno's. I've had-
pounds on me.
I've had Geno's. I've had Pat's. They're very
Those
good.
are tourist traps. Stop.
Oh, so-
Geno's and Pats, that's what you start in this argument? I'm going to smack you over the head.
All right, we'll get into it later. You're going to be here all day. We're going to give you a hard time. By the way, are you a Packers fan because of Deshaun Kaiser as well? Anyway, let's get to the sports update. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Dame Lillard's agent screwing over the Blazers. But first, here's your sports update.
Sports Flag.
All right, guys, and we are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs. For protection on the road and on the water, see how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. We start with a wild day at Wimbledon, where 2 of the top 10 seeds on the men's side have been knocked out. Top American man, number 9 seed Taylor Fritz, could not hold a 2-0 lead over unseeded Swede Mikael Ymer, losing in 5 sets. And Liam Brody pulled off a shocker by taking out French Open finalist world number 4 Casper Ruud in a 5-set thriller. Right now, one of the matches of the tournament, another Brit trying to once again capture the hearts of London. 2-time Wimbledon champion Andy Murray taking on world number 5 Stefano Tsitsipas. Right now, they are in the first set in a tiebreak. On the women's side, top American woman, world number 4 Jessie Pegula, dominated Kristina Buska for a straight sets victory. She's into the third round, where she will play Italian Elisabetta Cocciaretto. Plenty of afternoon baseball right now after a lengthy rain delay in D.C. The Reds and Nats have resumed. It's 1-0 Cincy in the fourth. Tigers have just finished off a 9-0 shutout victory over the A's, and Marcus Stroman spinning another gem. He was until moments ago. It's now 4-1 Brewers after 5 innings. In college football, the Big 12 preseason poll is out. Voted on by the media, the Texas Longhorns, in their final year of the conference, are the preseason favorite for the first time since 2009. I'm Pat Boyle.
CBS Sports Radio.
'You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Zach Gelb is sitting in for Maggie today. You know, I tweeted about Damian Lillard yesterday. Some people are getting a little tired of this drama, and it hasn't even really begun yet, because there's a report today that Damian Lillard's agent let it be known that if you are calling the Portland Trailblazers about Lillard, you better be the Miami Heat or you're going to get an unhappy player, which I think has a really tough effect on the situation, Zach, because now basically the Heat know they don't have to offer as much because other teams aren't going to be competing. So I think this kind of kills the Blazers market. And who knows, the Blazers better get something from Miami, or maybe they just keep Damian Lillard.
For a while, Damian Lillard has been my favorite player in the league. But when you say you want to win a championship, I understand why you would want to go to Miami.
Yep.
But if that's your only destination, if let's just say you get traded to Philadelphia or you get traded to Boston, what are you going to do? You're not going to sit out. You're not going to be a pain in the ass. Those are two destinations where you could go win. Now, I know why you would want to go to Miami, because Miami just got to the NBA Finals, and there's a need for him there. And there's an easy road to get to an NBA championship. But you go to Philadelphia, it's not like you don't have a shot. You go to Boston, you have a better shot than you do in Miami, like we talked about yesterday. So it'd be very fraudulent of Damian Lillard if he actually went through with this, where let's say the Celtics say, okay, we'll trade you Jaylen Brown, just for argument's sakes, to Portland, and Portland gets intrigued by that and they do the deal. Well, what are you going to do, Damian Lillard? Not show up?
No, I mean, his agent says that you'll have an unhappy player. I think agents do this kind of thing.
This is an empty threat.
You know, there was a really interesting report. You're talking about Damian Lillard wanting to win a title. Ramona Shelburne said yesterday on a local radio that the Warriors could have had Damian Lillard if they
waited. I saw
that Chris Paul trade. So I don't think.
Imagine that.
I still don't think, just basically reading the tea leaves, that it's Miami or bust. Because I think Portland is still going to call other teams. I think they kind of have a duty to. That being said, I think it does end up more likely that the Heat offer the best package because teams are not going to go all out if they don't think they can get them.
It's negotiations right now.
Yeah.
For example, we all been through contract negotiations.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get the most money possible, so you throw out a number, even if it's not attainable, and you know then what's the floor that you're going to settle for. Right now, Dame is throwing out his preferred destination where he wants to go to. I'd have to imagine if this is a long process and maybe Portland starts to threaten, hey, we're fine with just keeping you on the roster. Even if you're not playing at the start of the season, we'll find you. We'll do this, all of that, where then eventually he goes, okay, I'll settle, even though Chris Haynes has made it clear Dame does not want to play in Boston. Mm-hmm. And then you have the stuff about Philly as well. Maybe he'll come around on both those cities because there are chances where he can go win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, listen, look at some of the other teams that are getting thrown out there. I actually mentioned this yesterday, and then there's been more heat on it. Woj said at one point the Jazz called Portland and said,
I'm not going to Utah.
The Jazz do have a young team that could definitely use Damian Lillard.
But not ready to win a championship.
He'd make them a playoff team for sure. And then there's a great rumor out there, Karl Anthony Towns straight up for Damian Lillard. Now, Karl Anthony Towns is making
Why would Portland want to do that?
Well, Karl Anthony Towns on the court is a great fit for Portland. The problem is he gets paid about
well, that's what I'm saying.
$50 million a year. No, I think Karl Anthony Towns is a valuable piece. He's young and he's different because he's a big man who can shoot. I mean, as you're talking talent, like you're getting nothing like Karl Anthony Towns from Miami. You're talking about.
But I don't want that contract.
Karl
Anthony Towns is a really, really, really good player.
I think if you're Portland, what's your other option? Where are you getting a front court player?
I would just go get whatever the best package is available. You're in Portland right now. I'm not worried about what fits for the future. How many times does a team trade for someone in the NBA or they trade for picks and then someone doesn't pan out? Just go for assets. That's where I like the Sam Hinkie plan, even though he was never going to take the next step forward in the process, and I think he was afraid to do so. When you're a team that has a problem attracting superstars, just go out there and get the best assets available and then worry how it all fits in.
So wait, to take a step back, Damian Lillard's worth a ton of money. He has a huge contract. Karl Anthony Towns has a huge contract as well. But just on the court, that wouldn't fascinate you if you're Portland. Look at the other trade packages that are being offered. Nothing like that at all.
I'd rather have Jaylen Brown over Karl Anthony Towns if I was Portland.
Yeah, but I don't think Boston's necessarily giving up Jaylen Brown. So
may not be wrong on that one.
But that being said, Jaylen Brown, you have 3 Jaylen Browns on Portland. You have a bunch of 6'6" young guys.
Can you win a championship in Minnesota, though? I know they have a bunch of talent. You got Gobert down there. You got Anthony Edwards.
Jaylen Brown goes to Portland. What's that team doing? Well, I mean, what's the upside?
Well, they're not ready.
But when are they?
At least you have a face of a franchise. At least you have a top 15, top 20 player in the league.
Is Karl Anthony Towns that far below him?
Not terribly below, but I've been a lot more impressed lately with Jaylen Brown than I have been with Karl Anthony Towns, and I didn't love the way that Jaylen Brown played in that 7th game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all saw Jaylen Brown's dribbling skills. They were not on point. All right, we're going to talk to an NBA insider next. Dan Devine is going to straighten this out for us because the Damian Lillard thing, although it feels like Miami or bust, I'm still curious. Is there a real market? Kind of asking as a Sixers fan, any chance Philly gets in on that? We'll also get back to NFL. If you didn't catch our AFC quarterback rankings, we'll read them again for you later. But next, more NBA right here on the Maggie and Perloff Show with Zach Gelb sitting in.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh boy, there's a lot of jelly left. I thought she was making progress. There's a lot of jelly left.
I told you.
She needed to hear.
Fake lifelines that
Oh
you
my
were
gosh,
giving me.
I think this is going to end up worse than the peanut butter challenge, and I was sick for 4 days. Oh no.
I'm like, my hands are shaking.
No, this is going.
This is all the
This is
sugar.
going terribly awry. Do you want to take a small break and then maybe we assess your vitals?
I kind of want to just drink a little water and maybe
Yeah.
stand up.
Why don't we
maybe
do-
just start running out of the office.
Honestly,
Well,
Real talk here.
That was just
Real
a
talk
really
here.
big bite there.
Can we get some makeup? You look green.
Please don't tell me I need makeup.
That's mean.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Zach Gelb sitting in for Maggie. Got an urgent phone call from Maggie this morning, Zach. She said, "You're going to eat what?" Because we've been cornering ourselves into these food challenges. Now you talked me into eating 4 cheesesteaks in a half hour.
I didn't talk you into it. You volunteered on your own.
I know, I do love cheesesteaks, so I'm super into that.
I'd probably give you to 40 minutes now.
Okay, good. I need
Not 45 because you threw out 30 to start, but I'd probably give you to 40. I think that's fair.
I need all the time I can get here because I think I can do this. I did a calorie count. That's 6,000 in one pop, which is not good. But we got a lot going on today. We were ranking the AFC quarterbacks, almost an impossible task. We're going to talk about Big Ten college football coaches later in the show. But now, Zach, we got to figure out what's going on with our guy, Damian Lillard. And to do that, we're bringing in Yahoo Sports senior NBA writer, Dan Devine. Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing a lot better than you're going to be after doing 4 cheesesteaks in 35 minutes. I think that's where we're sitting right now.
You just robbed 5 minutes from me.
I mean, I believe in you. I think you can get it done faster than that.
Oh, I don't know. But I love cheesesteaks so much, but 2 cheesesteaks is probably my max. Okay.
Also, I would not want to be around you after that.
Yeah. You don't want to be
some disgusting stuff going on in the bathroom.
Yeah, I might have to do that on my home court. Anyway, Dan, so Damian Lillard, we got the report that his agent said if you try to trade for him and you're not the Miami Heat, you're getting an unhappy player. Does this mean that it's going to be Miami or bust for Lillard?
I don't think so. I mean, I would expect that is still the resolution. Maybe, it depends on whether it's several weeks down the line or not, because generally speaking, when it comes to star transactions in the NBA, where there's a will, there's a way, and where the star wants to go is where it winds up happening. It's just a question of what the Blazers are able to extract in that process, right? And where we are right now is basically just at a classic sort of staring contest. If everybody liked the deal on the table right now, it would be done. It would be over with. But Joe Cronin is looking at it and saying, Tyler Hero doesn't maybe do a whole lot for us when we already have Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp and Anthony Simons, and we need another place for Tyler Hero to go. And maybe if we can turn him into some first-round draft picks or another kind of young talent that fits our roster construction better. But then where is that third team? Where's the way station? Reports that it has been Brooklyn, reports that have been other teams that have been sort of saying, we'll get in there. We like Hero and we'll put up a pick for it. But now you're sort of sifting through what the marketplace looks like for that. And that's going to take some time. Joe Cronin is looking at it and saying, there's no clock on this, right? What tends to spur action in these situations isn't demands or reports about one guy will only go to one team or another or whatever. It's a deadline. And so at this point in the NBA calendar, we don't have one. We're looking at it could be training camp. It could be even into the season. We've seen that with Kevin Durant. We've seen that with Ben Simmons. These things can drag. The sunnier side, the more optimistic look is the entire league's about to descend on Vegas and all the decision makers are going to be there. So now if you're Joe Cronin, you can say, who is actually interested in this and where else might the actual offers be coming from? Who can we rope into this process and what sort of assets do they bring to the table? That can spur some movement too. But at the moment, I think we're looking at Dame wants to be in one place, but the Blazers are saying, you're under contract for 4 years. We are under no obligation to make that happen unless it works for us. And so now it's about making it work for them.
I know that Chris Haynes said that Dame doesn't want to go to Boston, but I see Jaylen Brown as someone that could be moved to go get Damian Lillard. It does kind of, in my opinion, make sense for both sides. Do you think Dame could be talked into Boston, or is that just an outright no?
My guess is that if I'm Damian Lillard, I look at that and say, if I'm landing in Boston, I need to be landing with both those guys. Because if I'm going there, I need to be in the best opportunity that I've got to win a championship. And that means as much talent as we can sort of still have on the roster. And Dame has said that in previous interviews. Like when you think about what star movement looks like, it's not just how do I get where I want to go? It's who am I playing with once I'm there? And is it a dramatically better situation for me? You remove Jaylen Brown from that Celtics team. Jason Tatum, fantastic. First team all NBA guard, swingman rather, and somebody that Dame has a relationship from Team USA. But you look at the rest of the roster. Marcus Smart's gone now. Kristaps Porzingis is there. He's had one really good, strong, healthy season in the last several. What does the rest of the roster around Dame look like there? It's possible that a Celtics team that was built on the strength of its defense and then like a high ceiling offense is a more consistent offensive team, but the bottom falls out a little bit on the defensive end. And you're still like in that mix of a couple of teams in the East that might have a shot at it, as opposed to the clear favorite. So as we talked about, Dame does not necessarily have the opportunity to control that decision-making process, but I think convincing him would probably be more about how we construct a deal that gets you there with those two guys, as opposed to Jalen moving out the other side of it. And then if you're the Blazers, maybe you're saying, what good does that do us? We're not getting the young talent that goes back through the next handful of years that can build with Scoot and Shaden, et cetera, which, it's tricky. It's advanced calculus at this stage. And right now, nobody's got the answer to the equation.
We're talking to Yahoo Sports senior NBA writer Dan Devine. So that being said, do you think there's any chance he stays in Portland, at least for the beginning of the season?
I wouldn't put it past him. Or past the Blazers at this point. I think that's the situation where we're going to learn how comfortable Joe Cronin and this Blazers front office is with being uncomfortable, to use that sort of parlance of you getting comfortable being uncomfortable. We've seen this happen now twice in the recent past. I mentioned it. There's the Kevin Durant situation last summer in Brooklyn, where Sean Marks, they didn't have a deal that they liked on the table at that point. And they said, we don't believe that Kevin Durant is going to come into camp and tank it, or just say, I'm not playing. We don't believe that that's not who he's been in his career. It's not what his relationship to the game is. So we're going to say, we're going to bring it into the season and we're going to see if we can make something work, or failing that, find a better deal January, February. That's exactly what happened. A couple of years, or the year before that, season before that, Daryl Morey did not have a deal that he liked for Ben Simmons coming out of that disastrous Sixers-Hawks series.
Yeah.
So carry it into the season. And now that was a situation where it wasn't, we're betting on him showing up and playing hard. We're saying we don't really care. And we're going to trust Joel Embiid to carry this thing and make us, keep us a competitive team until the deal shows up that we like. That winds up being James Harden, a year and a half down the line. That's all going, up in smoke too. But in the moment, those guys said, we're going to hold on to what our assets are until we find a deal that's better for us. And they were able to do it. Joe Cronin, this is kind of his first big decision like this on the job, taken after Neil O'Shea. He spent a lot of his time early in Portland kind of undoing what O'Shea did and starting to build for the future. This is the big deal. So what is his appetite for that kind of discomfort? How steady is his hand on that situation? We're about to find out. But I think you have to represent at this point that you are willing to take it the distance, and that's certainly what he's doing thus far.
Dan Devine here with us. We had a debate yesterday when you look at the Miami Heat, if they got Damian Lillard with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, I would say that's a team that could absolutely win a championship. Perloff still doesn't think they could get through some of the teams in the Western Conference that they got to the NBA Finals. Do you believe that Miami, if they add Damian Lillard, is one of those teams on your short list that you would expect to win an NBA championship next year?
Yeah, no question. To me, and it's sort of it sounds a little bit counterintuitive. I wrote about this a little bit at Yahoo Sports yesterday. The Heat lost that series in 5 games, and what everybody remembers from the finals is Nikola Jokic unstoppable, right? Yeah. Jokic Murray 2-man game unstoppable. The reality is, though, they lost that series because they couldn't score. By the end of that series, they put up, and in game 5 of that series, they put up their worst offensive performance of the entire season with the season on the line there. And part of that is Tyler Hero's unavailable due to injury. Part of that was Victor Oladipo wasn't there to be able to give them some pop. But in this construction, Hero's gone, Oladipo's already gone to Oklahoma City. You need, and now your starting backcourt in that series is gone. Gabe Vincent's in LA, Max Strus is in Cleveland. You need an answer for what you do in the pick and roll, how you are able to attack these elite defenses in the postseason, so that it can't just be Bam Adebayo on the short roll, putting up floaters and hoping for the best, or Jimmy on a bulky leg trying to figure it out against double coverage, or a huge defender like Aaron Gordon. And Damian Lillard might be, last season, he was arguably the second best offensive player in the entire league. You look at the advanced numbers, you look at what he did as a pick and roll ball handler, as an isolation scorer, with his shooting efficiency, his playmaking, the turnover avoidance, all of it. No one paid attention because the Blazers stunk and weren't worth watching for most of it. But when you watch Damian Lillard, he was absolutely lights out elite. And you're getting him still age 33. His game should age well because of the shooting component and how smart he is as a facilitator. He would fit perfectly between Bam Adebayo as a playmaker in the high post and Jimmy Butler as that sort of screen and dive, slasher, cutter, all the things that Jimmy can do off the ball. It would be a perfect fit offensively. And I believe that between Jimmy, Bam, Spoelstra, they'd have the structure to be able to support Dame defensively. I think it's an absolute hand-in-glove fit. But you know who else thinks that? is Joe Cronin and the Portland Trailblazers, and they're saying, you are going to pay through the nose to get that perfect fit. We're not just going to hand it to you on a silver platter.
Dan, who's your 4 in Miami? Who's your power forward starting next year? Am I going to have to see you get to the playoffs and watch Aaron Gordon dunk easily over Gabe Vincent? You know, Gabe Vincent's gone. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
no one loves Gordon more than you.
I played basketball in high school and a little in college. A 6'10 guy against a 6'1 guy wasn't fair then, and it's not fair now. Miami is putting 6'3 guys. Caleb Martin's their power forward. Explain this to me.
I can't explain it to you, but what I can say to you is they feel confident structurally, schematically, that they can do enough to get through pretty much whatever matchup they need to get to where they get to that promised land. And obviously when they got there, the size, it was a huge impediment. And the only way they had an opportunity to win was to jack up the variance of the game, shoot a ton of threes, make a ton of threes. And you know who does that real well? Dame Lillard. So now the hope would be, if you're Pat Riley, Andy Ellisberg, that front office in Miami, that you're going to be able to, you get the big pieces in place and you find the other pieces along the way. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's Haywood Highsmith that takes a step forward. Maybe it's by the end of the season, Jaime Jaquez is playing a bigger role on that team. You find your 4 along the way, as they did with PJ Tucker, as they've done with different guys in the past. Not always the case. They didn't find it last year, and it wound up being Caleb Martin, and that team still got to the finals. So I think the question is, like, control what you can control on the front end, bring in the talent you can bring in, and then you figure out the other pieces around it.
I'm really distracted here real quickly, Devine. This has nothing to do with basketball. Is this wallpaper behind you, painting, or a fake background on Zoom? Because it looks really nice.
No. Oh, thank you so much. It is painting. I can't take any credit for it. It's my wife did the job there. But
yeah.
It was at one point a bright orange wall. And you know what? The vibe was not really great in the pandemic when we were constantly here, was bright orange screaming at you all the way around us. Not so good.
Yeah, no, first of all, I could tell I'm married. Zach is single. Like, you didn't even have to ask. Of course, there's no man who comes up with a pattern that cool.
I thought that was wallpaper there for a second.
All right, Dan, last question from me. Same question with the Sixers. Is there any chance James Harden is going to be there day one of this season?
And this is personal for Perloff.
I'm a Sixers fan, so I want you to answer this. Be very careful with your answer.
I would say it's certainly an opportunity that he will be there. I think the bet you would make is not so much that, like Kevin Durant and Dame Lillard, he'll show up ready to go on day one, because we've seen Harden show up when he wasn't happy and maybe look like he wasn't fully invested, shall we say, in Houston when he wanted on his way out. I think the situation you've got here is a little bit less that he only will go to one place. It might be that only one place really wants him right now. You know, we've had the conversation about the Clippers and the fit that he would have there with Paul George and with Kawhi Leonard. Where else around the league is really willing to give him the assets to pony up for that $35.6 million deal, knowing that he's expiring at the end of the season? He's going to go into free agency. You can't extend him off this 1-year deal. So you're looking at him as a 1-year rental. And so you think about James Harden and all he brings to the table, and it was an all NBA caliber point guard last season, led the league in assists, one of the only, I think, 3 players in the league to average 20 and 10. Phenomenal player, has shown the capacity to be that ceiling raiser in the postseason. We're not very far removed from him hanging 40 on the Celtics twice in the second round. The problem is the other 5 games in that series and all the other playoff games we've watched and all the other situations we've said he can't be the guy to bring you over the top of the mountain. So if you're one of these teams that's looking and saying, is he going to be that guy to bring us over the top? You got to be a little bit concerned about what you put on the table to get him there. And I think that's why we haven't seen the market for him develop quite so large. And that might take a little while to figure out. And Daryl Morey's willing to be uncomfortable, but James might be willing to make it uncomfortable on it too.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I'm not super optimistic this is all going to work out well, but I'm a Sixers fan, so I know what it's like to go out in the second round.
Well, I was going to say, you're also a Sixers fan, so optimism doesn't necessarily come naturally to you.
No. We're just happy the Eagles snuck in a Super Bowl win. We'll take that. Dan Devine, thanks. We'll keep in touch, because I think there's a lot more to happen with Damian Lillard and James Harden. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure, guys. Take care.
Yeah, Zach, you got to know that wallpaper is a woman's work there. There's no dude.
Oh, it's painting.
Oh, it's painting.
He said it was painting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I was curious if that was painting or if that was a wallpaper right there.
Oh, man, I am not feeling like James Harden is going anywhere.
Men could be great painters.
No, that just did not look like
Growing
a man's room.
The guy that used to paint my house when I was a child was this guy named George. He was like Picasso out there.
Okay. Wait, you painted the inside of the house or the outside of the house?
The inside of the house.
George was like Picasso.
George the painter. He's a big fat painter.
Did he put patterns on the wall? Like, if you were listening on the radio, Dan Devine had this really cool pattern.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. He was this big fat painter, would get on the ladder. My mom would have a heart attack that the guy was going to fall off, and then she'd be liable in the home. And he would paint away. He was awesome.
George the Painter, a new character on the Maggie and Perloff show.
Imagine if George listening right now, this big fat painter gets on the ladder.
All right, we see your phone calls on Damian Lillard. Should the Blazers open up the market and go to teams besides Miami? I think they should, but I don't know if they have a choice. Call us 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, interesting choice for a Hall of Fame induction speech. One of the greatest players of, I think, our generation, the guys that we got to see. I don't know about who he's having induct him in the Hall of Fame. We'll get into that next, right here on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. All right, Maggie Perloff Show, CBS Sports Radio. You can watch on YouTube. I hope the Weedos are behaving today, Zach. They were sort of getting into it yesterday with you and me.
They're fighting amongst each other today as well, but Jeff Howell, who I don't know if he's a purple drinker or a Weedo or if he's just a regular person, says he will donate $500 to St. Jude's Children's Hospital if anyone on the show could eat 4 cheesesteaks in 1 hour. So he doesn't even think you can eat 4 cheesesteaks in 1 hour.
Oh, first of all, I love donating to St. Jude's. My buddy Rich Eisen, of course, runs the 40 for St. Jude's. Amazing cause. Jeff, this is going to happen. This is definitely going to happen. It's going to have to be out of Philadelphia because I need warm, fresh Philadelphia cheesesteaks.
Yeah, I'm in on this, by the way.
Yeah, you got to come down. You'd love coming down to Philadelphia.
Oh, I love going.
We'll do our shows out at WIP in Philadelphia. Yeah. It'll be a great time. We'll get cheesesteaks. I'll get a 5th and 6th one for you. Maggie, by the way, we went down for Army-Navy game in December. My parents actually bought the cheesesteaks. Loved the cheesesteak. People who said, who is it, Pat Boyle said you could get the same kind of cheesesteak in Central Jersey? That's blasphemy.
He's a stunad.
Yeah, that's just completely crazy. All right, we're talking Damian Lillard. Last segment, we had Dan Devine, who kind of implied the Blazers, despite this report from his agent that he'll only go to the Heat, the Blazers are not necessarily going to listen to that. They might expand the market. I think they have to. They have a duty to.
I wouldn't just say, oh, Dame, you want to go to Miami? Okay, then we're definitely going to trade you there. Because once again, what is Dame going to do if he gets traded to Philadelphia or if he gets traded to Boston? There's nothing he could do. He's under contract. You don't want to show up, you'll be one of the biggest frauds ever, and people will quickly turn on you, and all you say you want to win a championship, and you get traded to a championship destination, and it's, I didn't get to go to Miami, so I don't want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Boston has a little bit of history with shorter point guards who can score a lot with Kyrie Irving. That did not go well, but I think they'd be into him. All right, let's go.
But Kyrie's a douche. Dame Lillard isn't, from all accounts.
Okay, let's go to Cody in California with his thoughts on Damian Lillard. Cody, what's up, bud?
Hey, how you guys doing today? Good job, Zach, for filling in Mrs. Gray, but you definitely don't look nothing like her or sound like nothing like her.
Yes, I do not look or sound like Maggie Gray. Great observation, Cody.
Yes.
How many beers in are you, by the way, right now?
No, just a Weedo here. We're good.
Okay. Well, go make some nachos, all right?
Yeah, sounds good. Yes, definitely. I think he should be open for all markets, but I'm sure you'll remember this, Nick Lovin, when I tell you that I called in a couple of years ago and we were talking about lobbying for Kevin Durant to go to the Sacramento Kings. Well, obviously that didn't fall right, but who cares about that? Anyway, how about Damian Lillard to the Sacramento Kings with our coach, Mike Brown? I mean, that guy is a fabulous coach. It shows it. They haven't been in the playoffs in 16 years. He comes there the first year, boom. Same players and everything that the other last 3-5 coaches have had, and they get it there. And so I'm thinking maybe Lillard, he'd be closer to home.
What about De'Aaron Fox, though? Do you really want the ball out of De'Aaron Fox's hands?
But we get rid of how about we get rid of Herter and Harrison Barnes?
Well, I'm just saying there's one ball, and Damian Lillard, and I think Fox is one of the emerging superstars.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's so great. That's my problem with that. You take away from Fox.
By the way, Cody, I would recommend ice cream today. I go ice cream with peanut butter and some M&Ms and some pretzels and some whipped cream. That's what I would do if I was you, Cody. All right, then we're going to cut Cody off.
Yeah. No.
My hand was on the dump button that entire phone call.
Now you're getting me hard. No, Cody, he actually did make a really great case. He was on top of the Kings being a good team. Katie to the Kings would have been interesting, by the way. People don't look at the Kings. They're like kind of one star away from being really special.
They're phenomenal. I like Mike Brown a lot. He did wonders for them last year. De'Aaron Fox, it's weird to call him underrated, but he does feel like an underrated player because he didn't get any attention the last few years, and finally he got some attention this year. That's a team that's coming, and I just hope they reach that potential because they're a fun team to watch with what I saw last year.
Remember they drafted Keegan Murray out of Iowa, really quiet at the beginning of the year? Sniper from the outside. He can really stroke it from three. So I like the Kings. I do not think Damian Lillard is going to go there. All right, let's go to Kenny in Myrtle Beach. Kenny, give me some good news. Give me something good on James Harden.
Well, on James Harden, my opinion is he plays great during the regular season. I mean, he's fantastic. He puts up wonderful numbers. I mean, Hall of Fame numbers. But everybody he's playing against, they don't really care that much about the regular season. They're giving 75%, and he's giving 100%. Then when it comes to the
But he's been a phenomenal playoff player.
Phenomenal playoff player?
James Harden.
Oh, I thought he said Damian Lillard.
No, we're talking Harden here.
No, James Harden.
Oh, yeah.
But Kenny, I can't wrap my head around this. You're saying
plays
that
against people all year round that don't really care their season. He can put up great numbers, and then when it comes to the playoffs, he's playing against completely different people that he played against all year.
So, Kenny, you're not saying that James Harden out-efforts people during the regular season. You're just saying everyone else is sort of mailing it in, and he can score against that. Because
not everyone, but, I mean, a lot of people, and with load management and everything, that he just has an easier time putting up those great numbers during the regular season.
Yeah.
And then when the playoffs come, he's still playing his same 100%, but everybody else was playing at 75. Now they're playing at 120.
You know what? I don't disagree. I feel like part of the reason when Harden, I think he wears down in the playoffs. He had a couple 40-point games against Celtics in the series, but we've always seen him Game 7. Let's face it, he is not putting $1 million into his body like LeBron James.
He's putting $1 million into a strip club.
That's a conservative estimate.
He's done that before.
Oh, I know.
In Houston, they have his jersey retired in the rafters at the strip club.
Oh, well aware.
Because he spent $1 million in one night. And Doc Rivers, I actually think, was right in his criticism in terms of if you're going to go out and do that, you need to show up in better shape pretty much.
Absolutely. My favorite was, during the pandemic, all the NBA players were off, and we saw these Instagram videos where James Harden's doing all these new age workouts. He's dragging a tire around. He looks totally ripped. Then he shows up on the first day. There's a picture of him walking up to the hotel lobby. He's got to be 30 pounds overweight. And he was not ready to play basketball at all.
And then he sheds that weight very quickly. Yeah. And then he puts it back on very quickly as well. And trust me, being a big guy, you could put on a lot of pounds very easily. Then you could lose it. Your weight could fluctuate very easily. But there was times where Dame looked as if he was...
James Harden.
James Harden, was put on some fat suit. And then the moment he got traded to Brooklyn, he just ripped off the fat suit a few years ago.
Yeah, so you think, and you're saying you've done this before too, he could lose 20 pounds in, say, 3 weeks of basketball?
Yeah, oh yeah, easily.
Can you do that? I mean, you're actually great shape now. You look like you're perfectly good shape. Could you fluctuate 20 pounds? You weigh, 285 or something, you told me?
If you eat ridiculously, absolutely. It's easy to lose weight, and then it's very easy to gain that weight back.
Okay. Is it easy to lose weight?
If you eat healthier and you move and you have a lot of weight, it's not impossible.
All right, we got someone sitting here who's been shirtless on Instagram a lot lately.
And a lot of people weren't happy with the way that his body was constructed.
Pat Boyle.
Oh, come on. A lot of people thought there was a little extra flab on that body for Pat Boyle.
I got to be honest, Pat, there was some criticism on social. You were at the DA show had the event, and what were you doing? You were oiled in the backyard, basically.
Yes, that is a wild sentence to put together, but that was the truth. That was the reality of the situation.
And someone sitting here may have dumped the entire body of oil on Pat Boyle.
Zach, that was you?
Yeah, that was Zach.
How'd you get that job?
I was playing to the crowd. They go, who wants to dump some oil on Pat Boyle? And I was like, all right, should we dump the whole bottle?
Yeah, so this basically started. One of the female listeners of DA's show who lives in Denver, was going to come all the way to Long Island to Sean Marash's parents' house.
She has the hots for Boyle.
Yes, Marie in Denver. And, it's like a treat. That was what she was going to be able to do. DA was like, all right, why don't we have you give an oil massage to Pat Boyle? We'll call it Oil the Boyle. Well, then she had a foot injury, couldn't make it. So, 2 weeks before the show, it was turned into whoever travels the furthest. So it turned out to be some elderly gentleman, Gordon from Vancouver.
Man.
So and then he was doing it, and he was liking it.
He was into it.
He was into it.
He was really into it.
But you could tell
he was taking his time, massaging those shoulders, feeling those pecs of
It was
oil.
starting to get a little stale, so Gelb ratcheted up the intensity, dumped the whole thing on my face, got my eyes all over. But you know what?
Wow.
I never claimed to be some shredded six-pack bodybuilder.
No, they play you up.
But I'm a meaty guy. I'm thick. A lot of muscle here. There's just also a lot of fat.
You're not in bad shape.
But you work out, right?
Correct. I just barely do any cardio.
Oh, so that's
playing
what
tennis is my cardio.
But I'm the opposite. I only do cardio these days.
Well, maybe I need to get on that because when he said, "Yeah, losing weight's easy," I'm like, "For who?"
Well, maybe we should do this. We should work out together. I'll do your cardio, and you'll do my weightlifting.
Okay.
And we'll try to make one superhuman here at CBS Sports Radio.
That would be a superhuman.
I feel like I could add, if you want a slow jog, I could do that.
Your jump shot we'll take.
Yeah, no, I did see those pictures that I understand. So Maria in Denver got a foot injury like Aaron Judge? What happened here?
Yeah. She had a cast on. She sent a picture to, the show or whatever. And she was like, "Oh, I can't make it."
I'm sorry.
I have a theory here.
Yeah, let me hear it.
I think she may have saw Boyle shirtless and said, not that impressed. I'm not going to show up.
Stop. That's not the case. Also, that was at a bad angle, man. I had Sean's dad. Sean's dad's working the grill. I had 2 sausage, egg, and cheese sandwiches, 8 in the morning, and I'm sitting in a chair slouched like this, getting oiled up by a grown man. You think I'm trying to look,
well,
at my
that's
best?
the thing. When Boyle's standing up, and I think when anyone's standing up, you look like you're in better shape than when you're sitting down,
slouched.
You're not going to look the best. It happens.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed that whole outdoor thing the DA show did. That was one of my most fun.
It was organized chaos.
Was it as fun to be there as it sounded like on the?
Dude, it was a blast.
Yeah,
it was a blast. The power of radio, I think, gets lost on a lot of people, myself included, working in it. And then when you show up for you have local radio that does remote shows. You get a lot of people that show up.
Yeah,
national radio, it's hard.
There was some guy.
You had people travel from all over the country. There was easily 50 people packed into a backyard just watching a live radio show, which I thought was incredible. And the fans are phenomenal across this entire station.
So I lost a bet where I had to park the cars for listeners. I kid you not. Randy in Alabama drives right up. He goes, "I drove 15 hours to get here." And I go straight through. He's like, "I pulled over for an hour to get a nap." An hour.
Wow.
The guy was on the road or in his car for 16 hours, only pulled over for an hour, and drove 15 straight hours.
By the way, that's pretty fast. 15 hours from Alabama to New Jersey. I've driven to Alabama. He must have been going pretty fast.
Well, that I'm not responsible for.
That's awesome. And Pat, I thought you looked fine.
Yeah,
but I got to be honest. I thought because you were actually standing up, you're kind of ripped. But yeah, no, that was not a flat angle. It's good to know.
Maybe you should go join Threads. Because on Twitter, everyone rips you for anything. You could have, you could be the most in shape person ever, and everyone would be like, "Oh, that left boob looks a little bit bigger on Boyle than his right." That's just Twitter for you.
I will not be body shamed, but I could use to drop a couple pounds. So maybe I'll do the Zach Gelb. What do you do? The Peloton?
I do the elliptical and then a lot of protein shakes.
Maybe I need to get on that regimen.
Put spinach in the protein shake.
Protein shakes to me are all calories. I love protein shakes. Like if you go to, there's a juice press, a chain near us. Mm-hmm. There's 1,000 calories.
Well, can I give you the Gelb protein shake?
Yeah, let me hear it.
It is strawberries.
Love it.
Blueberries. You can stop with the sound effects, Pat. That's a little creepy.
That wasn't me.
Spinach.
Wait, where's this? No,
not for spinach.
Okay.
Mangoes.
I don't love mangoes, but okay.
And then a scoop of protein powder.
Okay.
With water.
With water. So there's no yogurt.
Nope.
No milk.
Nope.
No almond milk, oat milk. No milk substitute.
Nope.
Wait, so where do you get the liquid from? It's
You
very
said water.
chunky. Oh, you said water.
Water.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
fruit's frozen.
And ice or no? Oh, frozen
I used
fruit.
to do ice, and then I went to frozen fruit, and it makes it a little bit thicker.
And it is a lot of calories, but it's substituting another meal you would have. Where a lot of people, it's hard to make that as solid of a healthy meal, salad, or rather than just carbs.
I kid you not, and I could eat like a pig. I have one of those for lunch. I'm full.
Wow.
So I have a smoothie formula as well. I have ice, almond milk, banana, a handful of almonds, a handful of cashews.
Ooh.
And depending on the flavor, I'll either go vanilla with adding no berries or strawberries or raspberries.
Big nut guy.
Yeah, the nuts give it a lot, like some fat in there. Otherwise, yours seems too thin for me. I'm not sure I'd be satisfied. This is ridiculous.
Well, you are a thin man. I am a large man, so I would hope you would have a little bit fatter.
Wait, what did that mean, Pat? There's a lot of nuts in there. Was that some sort of dig?
No. You like nuts.
All right.
Here's the one thing with Pat Boyle.
Yeah.
Anything he says here, he has been like known as the perverted guy here at CBS Sports Radio. Where anything he says in the air, people just try to make it sexual or something like that.
Gotcha.
That's on them.
So even when he's not listening
listening
down that road, it happens.
If your mind's in a certain place, you're listening on the radio or on your phone. That's on you.
I don't know. I heard a lot of slurping noises in that segment, and then I heard, that's a lot of nuts. I mean, what? All right.
I was creeped out by the slurping there.
We're breaking down smoothies. I'm trying to add a little ASMR, ASRM.
All right. On that note,
this awkward laugh is brought to you by Andrew Perloff.
Okay. Well, next time we got to normalize things. Let's talk about an NBA rookie and Brittany Spears to get back on track. But first,
I don't know if Brittany Spears is normalizing it with the news out there today.
First, let's do a sports update with Pat Boyle.
Sports Flash.
Alrighty, guys, at Wimbledon, it's nighttime in London, but they have the roof and the lights on at center court for the blockbuster match between two-time Grand Slam champion Andy Murray and world number 5 Stefanos Tsitsipas. Right now, Tsitsipas leads 1-0, and it is 6-5 Murray in the second. A good battle. Earlier today on the women's side, top-ranked American woman, number 4 seed, Jessie Pegula, with a straight sets victory over Kristina Buska to book a spot in the third round. Baseball, the Tigers dominated the A's earlier, a 9-0 shutout. Right now, in D.C., after a long rain delay, the Reds and the Nats are all squared up at 2 apiece in the bottom of the 6th. Marcus Stroman was dealing until Christian Yelich ran into a 3-run home run. Right now, the Brewers lead the Cubbies 5-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Golf, first round of the John Deere Classic ongoing. Jonas Blixt is your leader. He shot a first-round 62 to jump in front at 9 under. First round of the Women's U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. Ji-Yu Janet Lin is the leader at 5 under. Finally, NBA news while we slowly wait for the blockbuster trade of the summer featuring Damian Lillard. The Portland Trailblazers are matching restricted free agent Matisse Thybulle's 3-year, $33 million offer sheet from the Dallas Mavericks, so Thibault will stay a part of the franchise's rebuild. Also, a small trade today. The Kings have traded for Pacers guard Chris Duarte. Indiana is getting back 2 future second-round picks. I'm Pat Boyle.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
On Maggie and Perloff. Zach Gelb sitting in for Maggie today. And Zach, you know what? I've seen a lot of strange headlines with the NBA.
This
through
one
the years.
takes the cake.
A lot of strange Summer League headlines, and I've seen a lot of strange headlines with pop stars, especially Brittany Spears. But in a million years, I would not have put this story together. If you're going to ask me what today's big NBA headline was, Brittany Spears and Victor Wembanayama, can you explain to everybody what's going on?
So in this TMZ article, there's two different stories, which makes a big difference. So this was the story that was initially gone viral, that Britney Spears and her entourage were walking over to Catch in Las Vegas, which is a restaurant. And as they were entering the restaurant, Britney Spears spotted Victor Wembanayama. TMZ was told that Britney Spears is a fan of Victor Wembanayama and went over to Victor Wembanayama to ask if they could take a picture together. Now, Wembanayama is working with one of the directors of securities for the Spurs, and Britney Spears is behind him. So I guess she allegedly tapped him on the shoulder, and then the security guard smacked her across the face. That is one report.
Got it.
Then the other report claims this from TMZ, that they were told the Vegas police brass will meet face-to-face with Brittany this morning to discuss the incident, and they got video of them walking through the lobby to go up to her suite. One law enforcement source, though, told them that the cops who were reviewing the footage said that Smith, who is the security director, pushed Brittany's hand away, and then her hand, not Smith's hand, struck her face. Cops did not address the velocity of the force of the swing. So you have two stories there. Long story short, one, the security guards smacked Britney Spears, who was trying to get a photo with Brittany with Victor Wembanayama, or it was this other story that when the security guard went to swipe the hand away, that it was actually Britney Spears' hand that got pushed into her own face.
I guess it is a pretty significant difference. Obviously you could get arrested for assault for slapping somebody in the face. I wonder, I don't think it's going to go that way, especially if Britney Spears truly is a fan. I understand her glasses were knocked off.
Yeah.
So I do think that's an important distinction. By the way, a couple things that surprised me. Britney Spears is a Victor Wembanayama fan. I'm psyched about that. That's pretty cool that she knows who he is. And second of all, this totally strikes. I completely believe the security guard obviously had no idea who she was.
Afterwards, according to this TMZ report, the security guard went up to Britney Spears and said something along the lines of, you know what it's like when there's a lot of fans around you. I didn't know that was you in the moment. But here's the thing. I saw one photo, and we have not seen the full video yet, where it's a security guard of the Spurs and then Victor Wembanyama walking, and Britney Spears is behind them.
Yep.
So if Britney Spears, who's 5'4", just walked up to Victor Wembanyama, who's 7'5", and if all she did was tap him on the shoulder, even if someone's coming up from behind on you, why does that elicit the response to even just slap her if you did across the face? If you're just knocking the hand away, okay. But if he actually slapped her, if that's all it was, that she just tapped him on the shoulder, Victor Wembanyama may not have even felt it with how tall he is.
Well, I don't know. You've really never been out in public with me, Zach. If somebody, basically if somebody tries to touch my shoulder, people tear
I actually have.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of drunk guys go up to Perloff and grab him on the shoulder. McLovin, how you doing? What's up, man?
Can we take a picture? And it's always like, they don't love me, but somebody they know loves me. Oh, my brother-in-law's third cousin thinks you're the best.
Now I always know why McLovin invites Sully and I everywhere, because we're kind of his security guards.
Yeah. No, if you walk into a bar with Zach and Sully, who's, of course, a friend of the show, you're good. We were at the Waste Management Open in Phoenix, where
we saw some things go down there.
There were fights everywhere. By the way, if this thing with Brittany and Wembanyama had happened there, then it would have been a full-out brawl. So it feels to me like this is just sort of an unfortunate accident. Do you think anything serious is going to happen out of this?
I think what it comes down to, did the security guy smack her across the face, or did he just hit her hand away and then her own hand came back up into her face and knocked off her glasses? That's, to me, what's going to determine what ultimately happens here.
Here's the other question, though. Does Wembanyama share any blame in this? Obviously, he's not the one who touched Brittany. He's not the one who hit her. But, maybe if Wembanyama wasn't, maybe he instructed the guy, whoever comes near me, just, swat him away.
No.
Well, I don't even know if Wembanyama wants this person with him because he's a Spurs team employee. So maybe this is the Spurs saying, follow Wembanyama everywhere, because this guy is a huge deal, as we know.
By the way, you can't blame him for this. He's about 3 feet above all this action. He can't even tell what's going on down there. He can barely see that low.
I don't even know if he felt Britney Spears. I'm being serious.
There's a picture of him and the security guard. The security guard is looking up at him. It looks like a graphic out of a Jack and the Beanstalk novel. And this is a security guard. There's no way Wembanyama can. Do you know anybody who is 2 feet and 3 inches shorter than you? You can't necessarily handle all that.
I'm sure you've been to the circus before. You've been to some carnival with your kids. Mm-hmm. He looks like someone that's permanently on stilts.
Oh, a stilt. Yep.
It is awkwardly tall. And I keep on looking at Wembanyama, and I keep on just having the reaction of, that's a whole lot of body to get injured in a game, unfortunately.
Absolutely. I'm so with you. I think it's going to be much hard. I think he's very good, but I think it's going to be very hard to pay this off. The other thing, he's not going to muscle NBA guys down low. And he wants to play outside. He shot 27% from 3. Let's transition to sports here, because he has his first game tomorrow in Vegas. He'll actually go against Brandon Miller, the number 2 pick.
Who stunk up the joint last night.
Yeah, who's been struggling. I think it's going to be hard for Wembanayama. I think he's going to be good, but I think durability is going to be a huge issue. And I think it's going to be a little hard for him to figure out his game at first. Is he going to go outside? And, I mean, the dude shot 27% from three. You really want your 7'5" guy jacking up threes? You want Rudy Gobert jacking up threes? Who actually, by the way, Wembanayama is taller than. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a mix. He'll probably look okay tomorrow night, but I don't expect him to lead the Spurs anywhere this year.
I'm a little intrigued off Summer League this year just because of Wembanayama. But in the regular season, there's no storyline that's bigger entering the regular season than watching this guy actually play.
Yeah.
Because you keep on hearing how great he is. I've said this to you before. It's kind of a little Ohtani-like where you hear how this guy could pitch like an elite pitcher in the game and then also be an unbelievable person at the plate. And then you finally get to see him, and it's like, wow, this is something that, even with how it was described, it's never as if you could have imagined. The way that people talk about this guy, it's almost as if he's not even a real human being. And I just want to see if all this hype is actually worth it. And that's the most intriguing storyline for me this year in the NBA.
Okay, so it's interesting. Remember when Zion came in the NBA? It wasn't exactly the first year. He barely played at all.
But at least we got to see him in college.
We got to see him. Yeah, we got to see him. I think he came into the NBA in the pandemic year. But all of a sudden, the NBA and TNT said, oh, my God, this guy is the most original thing to come in the NBA in a decade. We're going to put the Pelicans on primetime every night. So they did that. Then Zion proceeded to get hurt, and they had the Pelicans without Zion on TV a lot. So now they don't put it out. But Zion averaged 22.5 as a rookie, 27.0 in 61 games in his second year. Is there any way Wembanayama is going to deliver must-see TV like Zion did? No.
I don't think to those levels statistically. But in terms of wanting to tune in, which the NBA in the regular season doesn't give me a lot of reasons to want to tune into the regular season, but from a tuning factor, absolutely.
Yeah, I see. I think it's going to be an oddity, but the thing is, I keep saying the Western Conference, I call it the AFC, is kind of loaded, so I think the Spurs are going to quickly be forgotten in this. I think it'll be interesting to see him play, but I don't think it's going to be must-see TV because they're not going to be a competitive team.
And the definition of being meticulous is Greg Popovich. I just wonder how much they actually play him this year and how much they gradually try to implement him.
Yeah, we'll see. The Spurs and Popovich are never a really fun. They're a good team. They're not a fun team for me to watch. I am very interested. I watched a little Chet Holmgren last night. He looks good in summer league.
He's enormous too.
And he's, by the way, 4 inches shorter than Wembanayama. The Oklahoma City Thunder, now second-year player. He's going to block 3 shots a game. If he plays and stays healthy, he's going to be the leading shot blocker in the NBA.
We're going to find out a lot about people's height this year.
Yeah.
I know. Because I've been around Joel Embiid.
Huge.
Joel Embiid has to be 7'2", 7'3". Yep. Now, he's thick. Victor Wembanyama is not thick. Wembanyama is going to have, I think, a few inches on Joel Embiid. That's going to be a sight to see.
You know what's a big story that's going to be coming out of this draft that I think you're going to need some time? Did Charlotte really screw up taking Brandon Miller 2 and letting Scoot Henderson go number 3 to Portland? Yeah, I just think that when it happened, a lot of people were like, ooh, I don't know about that. Then you saw Brandon Miller. He just looks like another wing in the NBA to me.
Put it this way. I've seen Brandon Miller play.
Yeah.
I've seen Brandon Miller play a decent amount.
Yes.
This would be disingenuous to our listening audience, our great Maggie and Perloff listening audience. If I got on the air, I was like, yeah, this is what I think of Scoot Henderson. This guy's going to be a superstar. I've never seen Scoot Henderson play.
Yeah, but you've seen Brandon Miller, and you've seen that he is a hot and cold shooter. There's no doubt about it. And he's 6'8", tall and skinny. Is he that unique to go number 2 overall?
But I've seen games where he's looked like Kevin Durant.
Yeah, against a watered-down college basketball.
But I've at least seen it.
I don't know. I mean, the thing with the NBA draft, it's with one and done and guys coming overseas in G League, it's so speculative right now. But next hour, we're going to shift to the NFL. I love this story. There is a player in the NFC South who is sending out a warning and a guarantee this team's about to tear it up. We'll hear about that and more right here on Maggie and Perloff.
Leave Brittany alone!
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Anybody have the financial security that they can do the right thing in that case? Because it's not the wrong thing to keep the ball. That's what most of us would do. Am I being totally
doing the
weak
right
here?
thing is like, going to a soup kitchen or donating to charity. Giving a souvenir to a soon-to-be multimillionaire is not the right thing.
I don't know if it's necessarily the right thing to do to give it back, because if I'm in your shoes, I might keep it. I wouldn't feel good about it, I don't think.
13-year-old Mike Samter is absolutely giving that ball to Derek Jeter or whoever. 40-whatever-year-old Samter. There's
You got a
bills to
mortgage,
pay, you
yeah.
have responsibilities, you've got kids.
Then what are you doing at a Reds game on a Wednesday night? You got all these responsibilities and all these bills to pay.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Zach Gelb is in today for Maggie Gray. Maggie, of course, is sitting by a lake right now.
Can we come clean here and tell people actually where Maggie is?
Okay, go ahead.
She's still recovering from Michael Rubin's party. She was invited. Big star.
Yeah, I think I saw her hanging out with
Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Joel Embiid. Yeah.
Haley and Justin Bieber.
By the way, I have a lot of connections to Michael Rubin, not directly, but people I know because he's from suburban Philadelphia, just like me. I think that someday I might get an invitation if this becomes a thing.
It would not shock me if you got an invitation.
Yeah.
This is definitely a thing that's been happening now for years.
Oh, it has?
Mm-hmm.
Well, already I'm behind the eight ball on this.
And also, one person I'm surprised that wasn't there, Sully.
Sully and Michael Rubin's a much more of a Philly NBA guy. Sully's a Boston NHL guy.
But Sully knows everybody.
Well, listen, I guess Stephen A. was complaining because he didn't get the Michael Rubin invite.
He didn't get an invite. Yeah, he was very upset about that. And he called out some of the media that were there where Stephen A. Smith is above these people in the media rankings, and he didn't get an invite. And he's supposedly buddy with Michael Rubin, or he thought.
You know who knows Michael Rubin? Our boss, Spike Eskin, of course, who does a Sixers podcast. Rubin used to own the Sixers. He's in that crew, so I guess he'll be the first one to get invited.
Well, maybe we should ask that both of us should get an invite next year so we could attend and maybe covered for CBS Sports Radio.
But actually, I do not think that that's not where Maggie is.
Oh, no?
No, Maggie.
That's what I was told. I'm only going off the information that was fed.
The latest I've seen, Maggie is somewhere in Rochester scouting the Bills secondary right now. She's
visiting her Hall of Fame plaque in Binghamton?
Yeah. She's somewhere lost in central New York. No, she's actually by a lake in Wisconsin, which is pretty fun. I know.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to give that away. We had a big discussion today. Next week we're doing on the show a great debate series for the summer, the greatest team of the last 30 years in each individual sport. And already we have some massive disagreements. We'll get into that next week. Should be a lot of fun. And of course, one of the fun ones will be NFL.
Going to be a lot of LeBron teams for Maggie, I'm assuming.
Probably.
She loves LeBron.
She's into LeBron. That's true. So NFL, though, there's a chance that there's a team that's playing this year could actually be on this list of great NFL teams of all time, according to one of their cornerbacks, this is. Now, we've had great guarantees in the history of sports. Joe Namath in the Super Bowl. I remember Patrick Ewing had one, Mark Messier. I did not see one coming from Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback Carlton Davis, but Carlton Davis is going on the record saying the NFL is making a huge mistake sleeping on the Tampa Bay Bucs. He did an interview with our good friend Tyler Dunn for Go Long. He said, I'll read you some quotes, the ones that are PG. We're about to do it to him. Anybody who feels we have lost time and lost something is going to be in for a rude awakening. Tom was a great addition for us. Yeah, you don't say. But obviously, it's a team sport.
No bleep, Sherlock.
Obviously, you need components to be successful. We're going to wreck bleep, interceptions, turnovers. Plays will be made. I say, plays will be made. What a great, that sounds like a Revolutionary War hero. And this is the best part, by the way. This is Carlton Davis of the Bucs. He said, and our bleeping division is worse than it was before. So we run through division, get to the playoffs, run through the playoffs, and it's the Super Bowl. Now, I have heard absolutely not a single person on planet Earth talking about the Bucs and the Super Bowl this year. But Carlton Davis is saying we're sleeping on them. Do you give him any validity whatsoever, Zach Gelb?
What else is he supposed to say?
He's not supposed to say our division stinks, we're going to run to the Super Bowl. First of all, that's incredible bulletin board material. And to say Tom Brady was good, but
What is this, 1986 with the bulletin board material?
Well, come on. You don't think this is over the top?
No.
What else is he supposed to say? Wait, are you?
Someone has to believe in that team.
You going around
and it's not going to be me or you.
You think Chris Godwin saying, "Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl"? That's not what you say in Tampa Bay. You don't have to say that in every training camp. Your over/under on wins is 6.5.
Have you ever talked to a player where before the season, you go, "Do you think this team has what it takes to be playing in the big game at the end of the year?" Does that player ever say no?
First of all, Ty Dunn did not necessarily say that to him, but this is not your standard boilerplate answer. Oh, yeah, we're a Super Bowl. You say something to the effect of Super Bowl is our aspiration, of course. You don't put it out there like this. And he said Tom Brady was just part of a team.
Well,
Tom Brady,
stupid.
The GOAT. He said that this defense is about to tear it up, maybe. And also, I don't really like this thing about our division is worse. You know, he's got to play those teams in his division. And right now, I just pull up the odds on DraftKings. NFC South winner, Saints plus 120.
Can I guess who's 2?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2 is going to be the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, Atlanta's a close 2, by the way. Then Carolina 3, and Tampa Bay's plus 800 to win the NFC South, the worst division, probably the second worst division, AFC South being the worst. NFC South is the worst division in the NFC, and the Bucs are a distant fourth in that. And wait, they're not. He's not just saying that we're going to be okay. You know, we're better than you think. He's saying Super Bowls out. That is way too far.
It's idiotic, obviously. That goes without being said. You have Mike Evans on offense. You have Chris Godwin on offense. Those are 2 really good wide receivers in this league. Evans is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. But outside of that, you know, Tristan Wirfs on the offensive line, who I like. You got Ryan Jensen coming back from injury.
Yeah.
You got Baker Mayfield, who Cleveland didn't want him anymore, and he took Cleveland to the playoffs, which like no one ever does. You had not really a whole lot at the running back position, and this defense got old quickly. And oh yeah, by the way, you have Todd Bowles, who is a phenomenal defensive coordinator, but a god awful head coach.
No.
Tampa Bay, they're gonna. Carlton Davis come week 6 when he has to watch Baker Mayfield, or maybe if Kyle Trask sees the field, he's going to be running outside of Brady's mansion and be having a boombox and saying, "Baby, come back," to save his ass.
Which is not
This is going to be a bad team this year.
It should be. I mean, they
have a first-place schedule, too. Remember that.
Right. Good point. Now, one thing about them, they do have the bones of the Super Bowl defense there. So there's a lot of sort of, I mean, you're right, they're getting old, but there are guys there. You know, you
Vita Vea solid.
Vita Vea.
Devin
obviously, Shaq Barrett was the Super Bowl star.
Coming off an injury, though.
Yeah, and also turning 30. Kalijah Cansey out of Pitt. Ooh, they might have gotten a good one. Undersized defensive tackle type out of Pitt. I think they got him in 19th in this year's draft. People love Logan Hall. They're another young defensive lineman.
I'm a fan of Antoine Winfield Jr., too.
Yeah, and Jamel Dean's a good player, too.
Mm-hmm.
They're other quarterbacks. So there are good players. Yeah, I mean, listen, Baker Mayfield, that's a lot to buy.
But here's what I'll say.
Assuming he beats out Kyle Trask.
The Jets last year had a phenomenal defense.
Yeah, I know.
They didn't have a quarterback.
Yep.
And they won, 7 games last year, the Jets?
Listen.
Now, you win 7 games in that division. You may win that division, but they're not winning 7 games this
year. The Bucs won 8 games with Tom Brady last year. Mm-hmm. They had the ultimate quarterback.
And Brady, in what was a down year, covered up a lot of problems.
Yes,
in Tampa.
and you could see he was just exasperated by the end. He wanted no part of that team. Todd Bowles, like you said, great defensive coordinator. I don't always love having a defensive-minded coach as a head coach. I don't love it.
I don't hate it. They just they can't alienate themselves from the offensive side of the ball, which Bowles has done.
There was a lack of aggression that you saw when Bowles took over for Arians. Obviously, Bruce Arians, one of the most aggressive offensive coaches of all time. I think that sort of permeated through the team. So I think that's a downgrade in that sense. Yeah, it doesn't look good for them. They look like they should get into this year's great quarterback draft class. It could be really, really good. We say that every year. But I actually, I kind of like Carlton Davis saying we're going to run through it. Now, so who is your pick? If, it's early. I think the Saints are everybody's favorite. Do you think they're going to come away with the NFC South crown?
I really don't want to see the Saints, and I love the city of New Orleans, but I don't want to see the Saints get there because I'm sick and tired of Derek Carr. The woe is me. I'm the victim. Oh, Josh McDaniels made my wife cry. Like all this. Stop talking about the Raiders. Seriously, if we're at Radio Row in Las Vegas, now the Saints won't be there. But if Derek Carr is going on this redemption tour at the Super Bowl, pitching some product and telling you how great of a year that he had, I'm going to be sick. I think I'm going to vomit. Derek Carr's a solid quarterback. Derek Carr's a good quarterback. But every year he tells you, this is going to be my year. This is going to be my great year. And he's too up and down for me. They should win that division. But if it's not them, If Desmond Ridder can just be average, they got some pieces, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons are an intriguing team to me in the standard of this crappy NFC South.
I like what the Falcons are doing. Arthur Smith obviously had a great run game as a coordinator in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, they are built. How can you not love Bijan Robinson? I don't know if
and you got Algier there who's good.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the greatest idea to pick a running back in number 8. I think Robinson's going to be a great pass catcher, and I think you have good receivers with Drake London. You got Kyle Pitts there. I'd like to see them just be different than everybody else and run over everybody. They added a lot to their defense. They spent a lot of money on that defense, so I think they have a chance to come away with it. It's going to be a 10-7, 9-8 team once again to win that division.
Put it this way: last year with Tom Brady, this team was 8-9. The Panthers were 7-10 and had a coaching change earlier on in the season. The Saints were 7-10, didn't have a quarterback. The Falcons were 7-10. You take Brady away, and they were only able to win that division by the smallest of margins.
Well, they didn't need to play Week 18.
Sure, but it was still, for a while, that division, we didn't know who was going to win it.
Yeah, no.
If Brady didn't have that comeback against the Panthers, they may not have made the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember there was that early win against Atlanta where they got a great call that helped them out big time. Yeah, no, last year's Bucs were a disaster, but there were a lot of injuries. Maybe they'll get a little healthier. I'd like to actually see Kyle Trask, by the way. But, I mean...
I'd rather see Baker Mayfield than Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask is 6'5", threw 40 touchdowns at Florida. I've never totally understood why nobody's high on that guy. Second-round pick. He's got the profile of somebody who becomes a good NFL quarterback. They like him there. But it does seem like they're going to go Baker Mayfield.
And I think a mentality thing is going to be big here. You had Tom Brady there. And now you're going to maybe getting talked into Kyle Trask or the rejuvenation redemption product of one Baker Mayfield. If I'm Mike Evans or if I'm Chris Godwin or Tristan Wirfs, I'm showing up to work and you're looking around, you go, man, look what we just had for the last few years.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go to battle and go to war for Baker Mayfield and Kyle bleeping Trask.
Wow, let's be honest. It's not like Mike Evans was running the hardest patterns we ever saw last year. I mean, that dude gave up on a lot of balls.
Another 1,000-yard season, though, for him.
Yeah, I know. Tom Brady I don't think was very happy with Mike Evans by his end of stay in Tampa Bay. All right, so we've solved the NFC South. Coming up next, we're going to solve the Big Ten. Now, there's an interesting ranking out there of coaches, which led us to a very interesting question. Ohio State, is Ryan Day possibly on the hot seat? We'll get into that next, right here on Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff, Zach Gelb in the big chair. I hope everyone who's watching on CBS Sports Radio YouTube channel, the Weirdos and the Purple Drinkers, are being nice to Zach. I just assume you're not being nice to me, but that's okay. We, of course, love your feedback. He calls 855.
I think we're getting along today.
Good. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Well, we have actually, you want to give that now because we have a lot of listeners who are interested in Damian Lillard. Is there a new report on Dame?
Yeah, Aaron Fentress, I think I said his name correctly, who covers the Trailblazers for the Oregonian. He just spoke with Damian Lillard's agent, Aaron Goodwin. This was about 15 minutes or so ago. I had a positive conversation with Joe Cronin, and I made it clear that Damian would want them to sit down and have a meaningful negotiation with Miami, and I think that's something that Joe and the Blazers will do. So that's from the agent of Damian Lillard.
Okay. Yeah, I still think that this whole thing is sort of...
It's Durant-like from last year.
But it's hurting the Blazers because it's definitely this whole momentum towards Miami is, they're just not getting a full market for Damian Lillard.
Yeah, so it's so early right now, and it took Dame forever to finally say, I want out. Yep. And usually the negotiations aren't at the best spot right away if people feel as if there's going to be some time here with Damian Lillard. Like, I'm not making my best offer right now if I'm a team named Boston, like the Boston Celtics or the Philadelphia 76ers, or even the Miami Heat. If Dame's saying, I want to only go there. So you're not wrong that it could hurt Portland, but I still don't see what leverage Damian Lillard has. I know that we're all caught up in this era of player empowerment. Whatever the player says, that's what usually happens. But Dame could say he wants to go to Miami. If Boston wants to give up something, or if Philadelphia wants to give up something, and Portland says yes, what is Dame going to do? Not show up and not compete for a chance to go win a championship in either of those two cities?
No, you're absolutely right. And not only that, Miami might have confidence, but we saw it last year. Many people point out Donovan Mitchell was going to go to the Knicks. He was going from Utah to the Knicks. It was a done deal, but they couldn't quite figure out the terms. And then Cleveland swept in there and stole Mitchell away from the Knicks. Same thing could happen with Damian. And I agree. He's obviously, by the fact that he's stuck around in Portland, he's a nice guy. And we know Damian Lillard. He's just got a great reputation, stand-up guy, done a ton for the community. He's not the holdout type.
And here's the other part. I really do believe, going off what you said, he's not the holdout type. I do think that for so many years, he was apprehensive of saying he wanted out of Portland because he thought he would turn into this villain. Yeah. If you get traded to a big city like Boston or Philadelphia, and then you say, yeah, I don't want to show up because I wanted to go to Miami, you would turn into a villain, and that's what he's feared for years.
I mean, look at Kyrie with Boston. I don't think there's a more villainized player in one city than Kyrie Irving in Boston, except maybe any other city where Kyrie has played. But that's besides the point. All right, we saw a list that really got our attention. Yesterday, CBSSports.com ranked the Big Ten coaches. The Big Ten coaches, now, obviously, the Big Ten, there's two big teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So I'll just go ahead and say it, right? They have Jim Harbaugh, number 1 for Michigan, and they have Ryan Day for number 2 at Ohio State. First of all, Zach, do you agree with that? And what do you think this means for the situation Ryan Day finds himself in at Ohio State right now?
This is not even close. It should be Harbaugh 1. It should be Ryan Day 2. Ryan Day, the last 2 years, his teams have been embarrassing against Michigan.
Against Michigan. Yeah.
Against Michigan. They've been embarrassing.
Against Michigan. But
and
they haven't been
their
embarrassing.
Game. That's the game, and that's the biggest game in the Big Ten, and it's the biggest game on both teams' schedule each and every year.
Okay, so just so I get this straight, because a lot of people say this, if they had lost that game to Michigan, then they had beaten Georgia, which they should have won. They definitely should have won that
Different conversation.
And then they went on to win the national title. Would that have been a bad year?
No, that would not have been a bad year because it would have been a national championship. But look at last year in college football. It took everything possible after Ohio State lost for them to get in because no one wanted that final spot pretty much for the most part in college football. Oh, Clemson had an opportunity. They messed it up. Alabama was even – Nick Saban had an actual case in a year that they lost 2 games to his team should get into the college football playoff. No one really wanted that 4th spot. USC messed things up as well, and give credit to Utah with Kyle Whittingham. But right now in the Big Ten, since Urban Meyer has left, yes, it's Michigan 1 and it's Ohio State 2 with the last 2 years, with Michigan being able to get over the hump and just destroying Ohio State in the last 2 times that they played them. Now, is Ryan Day this awful, terrible football coach? No. But when you're at Ohio State, the standard the last few years has been not only get to college football playoff, it's always been to beat Michigan, but you need to go out there and win a national championship. And for Ryan Day, I don't have a lot of confidence that he's going to win a national championship.
Why would you say that?
If you look from a talent perspective, Ohio State has so many weapons.
Right, that Ryan Day brought in there and is coaching
And look at the gap between Michigan and Ohio State the last 2 years.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did I miss something? Michigan won a national title in the last 2 years?
With Urban Meyer.
Michigan. No, I'm saying Michigan.
Oh, sorry, Michigan.
So what's this gap? Yeah, they've won these 2 games, but Ohio State won 20 games before that. Ryan Day, I think there are hundreds of programs. I think 97% of programs in America would kill for Ryan Day.
There's a lot of programs that would love Ryan Day as a football coach. There may even be some NFL teams that would love Ryan Day as a football coach. But when you look at the job that he's in, there's a lot of Ohio State fans that are annoyed with Ryan Day right now. He's not in jeopardy of getting fired or getting dismissed or anything like that because the last 2 years, their team has been dragged up and down the field against Michigan, and that's a team that they despise the most.
So you look at the future of Michigan. They're basically all in this year. J.J. McCarthy's back at quarterback.
You got Blake
Corum's back at running back. Donovan Edwards. So they're, in most polls, they're number 2, sometimes 3. I think maybe they've snuck up to 1 in some polls. I think after this year, Jim Harbaugh, if he doesn't win it this year, is he going to stick around there?
I think if the Vikings would have offered Jim Harbaugh the job, he wouldn't even have had last year with the Michigan Wolverines. That's a guy that keeps on saying, Michigan's my home. I always want to be a Michigan Wolverine. There's nothing better than being the head coach of my alma mater. But the guy keeps on begging teams to interview him for an NFL job, and either they don't interview him or they don't give him the job. Yes, for Michigan this year, just beating Ohio State isn't enough. Just getting to the college football playoff isn't enough. they have a team that could win a national championship. Georgia is still the team to beat until someone beats them, and I would probably still pick them to win the national title this year, even after losing Stetson Bennett, who won back-to-back titles. But Kirby Smart, right now, is the best coach in the sport. That's not a shot at Nick Saban. I love Nick Saban, but the way that Kirby Smart has coached the last 2 years, he's the best coach in the sport right now. But after that, if you said to me that Georgia doesn't win, the conversation to win it all this year is between, Alabama, and then also, I would say, Michigan. Ohio State, I don't think, wins a national championship this year. And you know what? USC, until they start playing some defense, they could have Caleb Williams all they want. They could get to a college football playoff, but they're not winning jack in the college football playoff until they start having a defense there.
Maybe Jaden Daniels, LSU, go on a run.
I do like Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
A lot of people slammed Brian Kelly last year with those cringy recruiting videos and his fake accent with his family and all that stuff.
He's a great coach.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. For the next 5 years, if there's 3 coaches that I'll trust the most, clearly, without being said, it's Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. The third one would be Brian Kelly, because LSU, go Tigers, they're coming.
Yeah, by the way, and also, I do not sleep on Joe Milton at Tennessee. I think Heupel is one heck of an offensive coach. I think they're going to be good, too. I think it's going to be a
lot of pieces, though. But then, once again, Heupel, that system is something.
Yeah, that system is something. And listen, they didn't have their star receiver last year, Cedric Tillman, and they just kept going, and they were totally
Hyatt
fine.
was great last year.
Hyatt was great last year, but they could find – no one thought Hyatt was going to be the guy last year.
He went in the 3rd round, I think, to the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, Tillman was definitely the star coming in last year. So we'll see. Back to the Big Ten for a second here. Okay, we know Harbaugh 1, Ryan Day 2. I think you and I see Ryan Day differently. I think you're right. The NFL loves Ryan Day. Number 3, it got a little surprising for me. Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. Luke Fickell, who did nothing when he was an interim coach at Ohio State, took Cincinnati to the Final Four.
Took him to a college football playoff. Cincinnati.
I know, but I don't know. What's he done in the Big Ten? That's because he
just got there.
So how are you having number 3?
Because look at the rest of the Big Ten.
Well, James Franklin's
who
had
can't win a big game.
Had a lot
I know
of
he's
success.
won a Big Ten championship, but that guy against top 5, top 10 teams, he's terrible.
Yeah, but
he's a great recruiter, bad coach.
Yeah, he's got Drew Aller, big quarterback who could be really on the eyes of the NFL.
Penn State, I looked at a mock draft. This is how you know it's a summer, and I'm an absolute sports nerd.
Yeah.
They got like 3 players in the top 15 projected right now.
Yeah, and actually Aller's not even draft eligible. They're going to be really good. Then they go 5, Brett Bielema. I love some Brett Bielema at Illinois. 6, PJ Fleck. I will play for PJ Fleck.
Row the boat, baby.
Then Matt Rule at 7. Now, it's interesting about Matt Rule. He might be 7th, but you have to admit, I know your relationship with him. He is definitely the most interesting Big Ten coach here. I am really interested to see what he can build at Nebraska.
Matt Rule failed in the NFL, obviously.
Definitely, no doubt.
But just because you fail in the NFL doesn't make Matt Rule a bad coach. Matt Rule took over a Temple program that people wanted to get out of Division I and drop down a level. And he made that team relevant, beating Penn State for the first time in 74 years, got them into the top 25, had College Game Day come to Philly before their game against Notre Dame, where the Owls, it was a 1-possession game, and they lost it at the end, where P.J. Walker threw an interception. So Matt Rule did a phenomenal job at Temple, then gets the Baylor job.
Yeah.
And I don't think people forget about how bad of a situation Baylor was in.
Yep.
1 win the first year, turns that program around instantly in year number 2, and then year number 3, he has them playing in a Big 12 championship game and a Sugar Bowl. Matt Rule
unbelievable job at Baylor. Yep.
Year 1 may be ugly. I don't know what year 1's going to be. Matt Rule has a lot of ugly year 1s. But by year 2, they'll take a significant step at Nebraska.
Okay, there's some really good coaches later on this list. Kirk Ferentz, I feel like, you're not getting a lot of offense out of that. But 9, Northwestern's Pat Fitzgerald, he's a good coach. 10, Mel Tucker was a good coach. I don't know what's happening lately.
He had a good year 1.
11, Mike Loxley at Maryland's a pretty good coach. Then you got 12, Greg Schiano. Greg Schiano, when he's doing that Greg Schiano thing, he's been more elite than a lot of the guys on this list.
But here's the problem, and I know we all remember years ago, pandemonium in Piscataway called by Chris Carlin when Rutgers defeated Louisville. But you look at that program, Rutgers is just not set up to succeed.
No, but Schiano could coach
a lot of talent into the NFL, so I give him credit for that. But Rutgers is they're never going to be a threat in the Big Ten.
Then 13, Tom Allen in Indiana. Tom Allen had this great year when Penix was playing quarterback, and they started off so great, and they almost took out Ohio State. They've been bad last couple of years, but he could coach a little bit. Then Ryan Walters at Purdue. Don't know anything about that. But I guess the takeaway, of course, is Harbaugh and Ryan Day. Another takeaway, too, the SEC has a lot more big-time coaches. Because if you have P.J. Fleck number 3 on this list, the SEC goes 5 Hall of Famers deep, I would say.
And you have USC and Texas coming over.
No, yeah,
Texas, Oklahoma. Sorry, you have USC coming over the Big Ten with UCLA.
Yeah. So
you're gonna add to the Big Ten Lincoln Riley, and then also you're going to add Chip Kelly.
That's true. Oh, well, those are 2 big-time coaches. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But, right now the SEC obviously has got Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Brian Kelly,
Josh Heupel,
Mr. Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
You got a lot going on there. Let's put it that way. But Big Ten, it's really interesting. Ryan Day, I'm going to watch that closely. I root for Ryan Day. I'm a fan of his. I think the team's going to be good this year. They might have the best receiving core.
Their receiving core is ridiculous.
They always reinvent themselves, and he runs that sort of, for lack of a better term, that Urban Meyer offense. I think Kyle McCord wins a quarterback job and is a dark horse Heisman candidate because everyone throws 40 touchdowns there.
I'm surprised hasn't got a head coaching job yet. Brian Hartline.
Yeah, well, didn't he turn down a job this offseason? Actually, I think he might have turned down. What was did he turn down the Wisconsin job or say, I don't want to be in the Wisconsin running? He was involved in that somehow. I'll look up that. But Brian Hartline, yeah, he'll get there. He'll get there.
And he's young, too.
Yeah.
He's 36 years old.
He's 36?
He's only 36. I couldn't believe that when I read that today.
Man. Well, you got to be wary. I have a friend who's a Nebraska diehard fan. Mm-hmm. Scott Frost was a hot young coach, and look where that went. And, of course, by the way, as long as we got him in here, Mr. Notre Dame, we don't count them. What do you think of Notre Dame? Pat, I don't want you to answer. It's Pat Boyle sitting here.
Okay.
Do you think of them as an ACC team now or a Big Ten team? Which one are they most closely aligned with?
ACC.
But don't you feel like they're more in their DNA a Big Ten?
No.
Come on. They're not ACC.
They have the alliance with the ACC.
I know they do, but, ACC is Duke basketball. Notre Dame is closer to Michigan, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so
they should join a conference full time.
And it should be the Big Ten, especially if USC's going there. Marcus Freeman, I'm curious.
But they won't because of the TV money they make on this independent contract.
I know. I'm curious where you would put a Marcus Freeman on there because to me, he's a big TBD.
I like Marcus Freeman, and also you have the quarterback coming in, Sam Hartman, who I liked a lot at Wake Forest.
Oh, yeah.
He's small, though.
But
he's a winner. He's a winner, and he's got a great arm, and Notre Dame's going back to the college football playoff this year.
Stop.
Yeah,
Stop.
You and everybody else who gets sick of Notre Dame, how are they in the college football playoff every year just so they can get smoked? Not true. Not true.
What are you talking about? I was the star of the Manti Te'o documentary. I'm always a fan of Notre Dame.
Well, there's a lot of people that get Notre Dame nausea for whatever reason just because they run a phenomenal program and have been good. They've been one of the most decorated programs in college football in the history of the sport, and they're going to be back in the Final Four in the playoff
Now, I'll never trust them in a big game when they get to the college football playoff.
If they're not playing Alabama or Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, they'll be fine.
Or Georgia?
Yeah.
Or Georgia. Big nut
Michigan.
Guy. Basically, if they're not playing the number 1 or the number 2 team in the country, they've got a chance.
Wait, one more time. Sorry.
Big nut guy.
I missed that.
Oh, it's Pat Boyle. What did you say again?
Big nut guy.
Yeah. So
that's how Boyle's going to watch football this year. He'd be like, "Who's a big nut guy out there?"
Big nut guy.
Who's got the cojones?
You know what my big Notre Dame storyline is? I heard from a little birdie that Tyler Buchner is like the man in Alabama. Nick Saban's absolutely in love with him, and I do not understand that,
I heard that
for
too.
1 second.
You know what's even more puzzling is the fact that Tommy Rees, who was the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, is now the offensive coordinator at Alabama, which is like the most coveted job in America.
Yeah, by the way,
he stinks. He sucks. He can't call plays. I watched that offense flounder last year. They were terrible if they just knew somebody that could run a playbook the right way. Tommy Rees is incapable of doing that. They are going, I'm telling you.
Touchdown Jesus.
Alabama's going to be great because they're Alabama. They've got a boatload of talent. But if it comes down to if they're in the SEC championship or if they're in the college football playoff and you need to draw up a big play, don't count on Tommy Rees to do it.
I got to tell you, this might sound weird, but Bill O'Brien was doing a terrible job there. He just did not understand college football, so he might improve on that. I think Saban basically wants to control it. He's like,
Wait, what do you mean, Bill O'Brien? He did a good job at Penn State.
He was pretty good that 1 year with Hackenberg. I'll tell you, the offense dipped so hard compared to Sark when Bill O'Brien came into Alabama, and it wasn't consistent at all.
But you looked at Alabama last year. Outside of Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs on the offensive side of the ball, they had nothing.
Outside of the defending Heisman Trophy winner and the number 12 pick in the NFL draft at running back.
But my point is, when you
say they had nothing because he wasn't scheming up the right plays.
But the wide receivers at Alabama for the last 4 or 5 years have been out of this world.
Yeah,
they couldn't hold the jockstrap of some of those other wide receivers.
Part of that
unit this year.
That's coaching to me. That's partly coaching. Now we'll see Tyler Buchner, who is tiny, by the way, former Notre Dame quarterback, by the way, in case we didn't say that.
And he can't throw the football.
Yeah,
he can't throw the ball, Perloff.
I know.
But folks, here's what we're all forgetting. For a long time, Alabama never had that wonderful quarterback. And then all of a sudden, they started having all these great quarterbacks, the Jalen Hurtses of the world, the Tua Tagovailoas, Mac Jones making a Heisman finalist. And then we also, Bryce Young be the number 1 overall pick. Maybe Alabama is not always going to be able to put the top quarterback out there.
I think Saban doesn't want the top quarterback. I think that's why he's bringing in conservative Tommy Rees. He wants to go back to the A.J. McCarron, Greg McElroy days where the defense wins, although McCarron was pretty good.
Dude, those guys could make routine throws. Tyler Buchner can't make routine throws. All he can do is run the ball. That's all he can do.
Oh, boy.
And by the way, next year, Dylan Raiola going to Georgia.
Yeah,
top quarterback.
I have to see Dylan Raiola in a Georgia uniform because he was also going to Ohio State for a long time too.
He wants to go to Nebraska too.
Yeah, by the way,
but he's committed to at least Georgia.
Yeah, no, and he's been actually. I think he moved to Athens or something. Anyway, yeah, the recruiting game now until they actually show up in week 1 of their sophomore year. I don't care where they're committed.
And by the way, Arch Manning the other day. Yeah. Did you see him without a shirt on?
Yeah. Did you see? Yeah, but listen to me.
That's not a Peyton or Eli body right there. That's who Pat Boyle wants to be. Arch Manning.
So
why do I want to be Arch Manning?
Did you see him shirtless the other day?
Zach's referring to an Instagram post and Texas quarterbacks, but
now that's against the grain, Perloff, because all the other Mannings aren't shredded.
They have dad
flabby.
Did you see Quinn Ewers in that picture?
No.
Quinn Ewers will look like Pat Boyle when he was oiled up there. Like, he was never in shape. Quinn Ewers looked ripped, and they all look like little children compared to Malik Murphy, who was a 4-star recruit. I don't understand what's happening in Texas. They have 3 first-round picks just sitting there in their quarterback room.
Quinn Ewers looks like he belongs on Duck Dynasty.
No, it doesn't anymore. Him and Arch Manning look like they've been in the weight room 12 hours a day.
And did he cut the hair? Did he cut that god-awful mullet and that
horrendous facial hair? No, he's got a conservative haircut. By the way, I saw he was talking about mock drafts. He's number 8 on ESPN.com's mock draft they put out today.
And former Longhorn, Fozzie Whitaker, who now does their games, I was talking to him a few weeks ago. He said that if Quinn Ewers got hurt or if he did not reach where they thought he should be, I would have just assumed, right? You could have Arch Manning get on the field right away. You mentioned Malik Murphy. He actually thinks it would be Malik Murphy over Arch Manning right now.
Yeah, we'll show you this picture. Malik Murphy looks like a man, and the rest of the people look like children. I was at a football camp once. I saw Malik Murphy throw the ball 85 yards. He should have been a 5-star recruit. It's really weird.
By the way, where do you find all this time? Perloff, every young quarterback in college, is your second job? Are you a QB whisperer?
He's got a full dossier on like the entire country.
You know every young quarterback. You go, oh yeah, I once saw him when he was like 16 at a QB camp.
Because you know what Perloff's thing is? He wants to be the guy that says, I discovered so-and-so, and nobody believed in him.
You can't discover the guys if you don't talk about them prematurely and mention any little tidbit that you can figure out.
But I see what you're trying to do with Jordan Love.
Jordan Love's the man. The man.
Not going to work. He stinks.
Jordan Love does not stink.
You can't tell me Jordan Love stinks.
He's going to be a stiff. I'm telling you that. It's not going to be good.
Based off what? Just you having a take?
Based off of me watching the limited playing time he's gotten.
How much have you watched him, actually?
I'm telling you. And also, the team is not that good around him. Who's he lifting up?
You got Aaron Jones there?
Yeah.
Christian Watson had a really good second half of the season.
Okay, can him and Romeo Doubs stay healthy?
Quadzilla, the backup running back.
Big nut guy.
All
Was that A.J. Dillon?
He loved that drop.
All right. Coming up next, we're going to debate the NBA midseason tournament. Is it really stupid or just really dumb? We'll get into that. But first, here's an update with Pat Boyle.
With the really stupid and dumb Pat Boyle. With
Sports Flash.
All right, guys. Final live update from London today. The local 11 p.m. curfew in Wimbledon Village is quickly approaching, but there's one hell of a battle going on under the roof and the lights on center court. Two-time Wimbledon champion Andy Murray has just grabbed the third set. He leads world number 5, Stefanos Tsitsipas, 2-1 in the best-of-5 matchup. Baseball, 2 live games right now before a busy Thursday night slate. The Reds and the Nats are in the top of the 10th, but Cincinnati's already scored twice. It's 5-3 Reds in extra innings, and the Blue Jays and White Sox just underway on the south side of Chicago. They are scoreless in the second. Earlier today, the Tigers pummeled the A's 9-0, and a thriller in Milwaukee after Jan Gomes tied the game with a 2-run blast in the top of the 8th. Victor Caratini's go-ahead home run in the bottom half sealed it for the Brewers. They beat the Cubbies 6-5. Hockey news, 2-time Stanley Cup winner Patrick Hornquist is hanging up the skates. He announced his retirement after playing 15 seasons with 3 teams. Hornquist won back-to-back championships with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2016 and 17, scoring the cup-clinching goal in Game 6 against the Predators. And the Dallas Cowboys starting kicking job just got a lot more interesting. The Cowboys have signed ex-MLS player and now former USFL star from the Birmingham Stallions, Brandon Aubrey. He'll compete with Tristan Vizcaino for the starting kicking job. I'm Pat Boyle.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Zach Gelb sitting in. Man, we've been disagreeing on a lot of things today. One thing that we do not disagree on at all.
That cheesesteaks are incredible and that you can't eat 4 of them in about 35, 40 minutes?
Yes, cheesesteaks are incredible, and I can down them. It depends how tough I'm feeling. I think, and if you give me an hour, then it's not even fair. I feel bad for the cheesesteaks because they are.
You said 30 minutes. So I can't give you an hour.
I am a little worried about the calories, though. I might have to go sort of.
You could afford to gain a few pounds.
It's 7,000 calories, 7,000 to 9,000 calories in 1 hour.
Okay, it's not my body; it's her body.
Yeah, it's funny. Maggie ate a jar of jelly. She's like, "That's a lot of calories to put in." I'm like,
"Does Maggie need to worry about calories?"
She does.
This show does not need to worry about calories when the normal people are sitting in these chairs.
You know, one person who does need to worry about calories is the update guy, Pat Boyle, which brings us to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
Shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. So we were getting into our different smoothie formulas. Yeah. Zach, I think you're in great shape right now. Apparently your key is smoothies. I have my own smoothie formula. Let's listen to it. I have a smoothie formula as well. I have ice, almond milk, banana, a handful of almonds, a handful of cashews.
Ooh, big nut guy.
Yeah, the nuts give it a lot, like some fat in there. Otherwise, yours seems too thin for me. I'm not sure I'd be satisfied. This is ridiculous.
Well, you are a thin man. I am a large man, so I would hope you would have a little bit fatter.
And wait, what does that mean, Pat? There's a lot of nuts in there. Was that some sort of dig?
No, you like nuts. If your mind's in a certain place, you're listening on the radio or on your phone. That's on you.
I don't know. I heard a lot of slurping noises in that segment, and then I heard, that's a lot of nuts. I mean, what? Yeah, I'm going to have to get Pat Boyle back for that. Luckily for me, Pat sort of lends himself to get in awkward situations, including you throwing oil on him.
Oh, yeah, at the Bob's Bar show. He asked for it. Okay. Boyle loves the attention. Let's be real.
Totally. NBA in-season tournament. I didn't understand it when it started. They're making progress. They announced that first ever in-season tournament, and I will not explain this to me. It's going to end December 7th and 9th, December 7th to December 9th, the semifinals and finals. Most of it will count as part of the regular season, except for the finals games. Who's into this thing? Who wants to see an in-season tournament in December in the NBA?
That spineless commissioner, Spineless Silver. That's the person that's into this.
I know how you feel about Adam Silver.
You can't get your players to want to play enough in the regular season, so you try to incentivize them with the awards of you have to play 65 games. No one gives a rat's ass about that. And then it's, okay, now the winning team, each player is going to get $500,000 each. And if you're going to do this, why would you do this in December, right in the heart of the football season? Who's going to go out of their way to watch this when football in the NFL is really starting to get good?
Yeah. Well, apparently Mike Samter will. Mike, you're all into this in-season tournament.
I'm like 85% in now. I think the dates, you're correct, the dates are insane. It makes no sense why you do the in-season tournament this early. The season's like a month and a half old. You want to drum up some build-up to it. Maybe do it in like February after the All-Star break, in that lull between the All-Star break and the playoffs, or maybe right before the All-Star break. But to do it in December, I think is weird.
Do it in February after the Super Bowl.
Totally agree.
Then maybe you get someone to watch it. Maybe I would watch that then.
Now, the reality is after the Super Bowl, like the NBA kind of takes over for a little bit. I mean, you have March Madness for a little bit, so I guess you can't go too much against that. But at the end of the day...
Honestly, we talk more combine and draft preparation after the Super Bowl with free agency becoming... Yeah. The NFL's a 365-day year sport now.
100%. So the dates, I think, is a little bit weird for the NBA. I think you have to jump a little bit more build up to the tournament. But the reason why it sounds great is... all of the games for this in-season tournament are just regular season games, right? So Bucs, Blazers, in early November, mid-November, whoever wins that game just like gets the point, right? It still counts as a win-loss in the standings, but then you get like a point for the in-season tournament. And so the games, for the most part, for the tournament are just regular season games until the teams that accrue the most points or the best records then go on to the Final Four. Then the Final Four is like its own separate thing. So you're really only adding 3 extra games. So it's not like we're watching this whole huge, gigantic tournament outside of the NBA regular season. We're only watching 3 extra games. And at the end of the day, whether you care about this extra tournament or not, it's 3 extra games that have more value than 1 out of 82 regular season games. It might not have a lot of value, but it has more value than 1/82nd of a game.
So if this is being done, you would agree to incentivize the players to actually show up and play and go harder in these games, right?
Correct.
That's what you think. Why would a Kawhi Leonard or a Jimmy Butler or even a guy like Desmond Bain, who's making all this money now, $206 million, if they're designed to have some load management games, why are they playing one of these games just to go get an extra potentially $500,000 if they win the entire thing?
Peer pressure.
Well, here's the other thing, though.
You think there's going to be peer pressure in the NBA?
Peer pressure from their teammates. Because, yes, a lot of these guys are making $20, $30, $40 million a year. But then you got a lot of guys who aren't. And that $500,000, $1 million prize is significant. So if Kawhi's like, I just don't care about winning this thing, and then his teammates are like, dude, like, we kind of want to win this thing, then Kawhi might say, all right, fine, I'll try to win this thing. And at the end of the day, also with the load management, they might be more apt to play in those games that are going to be designated for the in-season tournament. And the NBA will probably designate games that players are more likely to load manage in anyway. Right. So now there's that incentive to play in games that you would not normally play in. And then the games that you would normally play in, you're still going to play in them anyway.
Jeez. So what's going to happen on December 11th? Is the entire NBA just going to sit out those games, which are also regular season games? Doesn't this water down the non-midseason tournament games?
There's a mid-season tournament banner that's going to be elevated to the Raptors.
Yeah, it feels like a juiced-up summer league title to me. It feels like the Intercontinental Champion in the WWE. It's not even the real champion.
It's definitely going to feel like that. But I can promise you, down the road, when there's actually some level of history to it, the first team that wins 3 straight, the first, whatever it is going to build prestige over time, just like any of those in-season soccer tournaments all over the world
Barkley,
that hundreds of millions of people tune in for.
This is terrible. That's what this is.
I think it's neutral. I think it'll come and go. I mean, listen, the NBA regular season is in danger of losing even more relevance. I know that the
players don't care.
They're still throwing TV money at it, but I got to tell you, the NBA regular season, the MLB regular season, they expand the playoffs, and the playoffs go on forever. Those are really all that matters.
I know we got to go, but follow the money. This is another. They're going to be playing this in Las Vegas, right? The Final Four. This is another chance for the NBA to make more money. Doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Speaking of which, tomorrow we get to pump up that summer league game with Victor Wembanayama.
Oh, let's go!
Let's go! Just don't touch him on the shoulder, even if you're Brittany Spears, because they'll end up in
Don't
blows.
Have a stupid security guard that smacks someone.
All right, thank you, Stu Kovacs, Mike Samter, Zach Gelb. He'll be in again tomorrow. Can't wait. Join us again on Maggie and Perloff.
Big nut guy.
You're in a 5-minute break.